Chelsea Football Club are a mess. They've brought in about 1,000 new players, still can't get in the top half, and now Pochettino's had enough, and so I've been drafted in to get Chelsea back to being one of Europe's elite and maybe win a trophy along the way. And of course, if you're looking forward to a brand new Chelsea career mode, don't forget to like, subscribe and follow along for the rest of the series, and let's get stuck into it. Now, as everyone knows, Chelsea have signed a bucket load of new players, and yet it could still be argued that looking at the squad, this is one of the worst Chelsea teams in years. They've got an 81 rated on loan Kepa as their highest rated goalkeeper, with a newcomer Robert Sanchez clearly not going to be good enough in the long term to fill the void between the sticks. Ben Chilwell was a fairly decent option at left back, but with the club desperate to try and get rid of Cucurella in real life and with an unproven Ian Maatsen in reserve, time will tell whether he'll be good enough to even make the starting 11. Now, there can be no denying that Thiago Silva is a world-class centre-back, but with him being 38 years of age and retiring at the end of the season, we are definitely going to be looking to try and find a replacement for him at the back. Now, to be fair, they do have quite a large host of young and up-and-coming players, the likes of Axel Disasi, the 22-year-old Frenchman Benoit Badiashile, another 22-year-old Frenchman Wesley Fofana, who unfortunately has been victim to several injuries over the last couple of seasons, and finally a 20-year-old Englishman in Levi Colwill, who impressed quite a lot last season on loan at Brighton. However, whether any of these players are truly good enough to make the grade in the immediate term, I'm not quite sure, so let me know down in the comments below, are there anyone in particular that you think I should bring in, and is centre-back a crucial position for us to target at the start of the summer transfer window? Now, obviously at right back, Reece James is one of the best players at the club, and in real life Malo Gusto has actually been impressing quite a lot, so I think we're pretty well stocked in that department. And we've got some fairly decent players in midfield, with the likes of Moises Caicedo and the 22-year-old Enzo Fernandez being bought for £100 million each respectively, plus an ever-improving Conor Gallagher. I think we're going to be okay in central midfield for now. A question I do have though is what to do with this man, an exciting prospect and someone who has got a big future at Chelsea, but does he have a future in our very first season? Again, let me know down below. Should I keep him at the club? Should I perhaps look to loan him out to get first team football at a different team? Let me know what you think. Now, naturally, Raheem Sterling is a left winger, but he does have the versatility to play on the left and on the right and down the middle, and in real life, he's playing for Chelsea on the right-hand side as well. Plus, he is our best attacking midfielder at the moment. However, with us only having a 77 rated Noni Madueke and Cole Palmer, who despite Chelsea paying over £40 million for in real life is only rated 67, is the right-hand side of midfield an area that we need to improve. Now, whilst Mudryk hasn't exactly hit the heights that would have been expected of him in real life since joining Chelsea, on this game he does have that something special, and with him only being 22 years of age does have time on his side, so I'm confident he will be a fixture for the long term at this club. However, again, with Sterling more likely to play on the right hand side, do I potentially need to look at bringing in another left winger to try and compete with this man over the course of the season? And finally up front, with Romelu Lukaku out on loan to Roma in real life, that only leaves the likes of Armando Broja and Nicholas Jackson up front, and obviously striker is a key position that Chelsea are really struggling with in real life. Now, Christopher Nkunku has an incredible rating and clearly has that something special and can play up front as well. However, my understanding was that Chelsea were bringing him in to play in the hole behind the striker. So again, let me know down in the comments below, where do you think I should be playing this man? Should I play him in central attacking midfield, or should I look to play him as our lone striker up front? So looking through the overall starting 11 and the substitutes and the reserves, I think it's pretty obvious that we're going to need to start trying to delve into the transfer market. Goalkeeper for me is probably going to be my number one priority, as I really don't think Robert Sanchez is going to be our long-term answer between the sticks. There might be some improvements that are needed at centre-back, especially with Thiago Silva coming to the end of his career. Perhaps some improvements might need to be made on the left-hand side of my defence, as well as the left-hand side and right-hand side of my midfield. Plus, depending on your thoughts on Christopher Nkunku, we may well want to look for another striker to lead the line for us. So of course, as ever, let me know down in the comments below who you want to be seeing plying their trade in a Chelsea shirt this season. Now, every good team needs a proper system, and in typical Pochettino style, I am going to stick with a high-pressing, attacking philosophy to try and get the best out of my young players. And in order to implement that system, I am going to try and look to bring in the best coaching that I have available. Now, I still haven't quite worked out whether tactical vision or stars are the best way to go. Granted, you'll want a combination of the two, but I'm still not quite sure whether one is more important than the other. Now, I'm looking for an attacking coach, but you'll see on the left-hand side that there's only two available who have some sort of knowledge in gegenpressing, and both of them are pretty naff when it comes to stars. So instead, I think I'm going to go for this Sean King guy. Whilst he doesn't offer us incredible knowledge of gegenpressing, he's got a pretty balanced tactical vision, and he's got expert stars right across the board. And you'll see I've done the exact same thing across the midfield, the defence and in goal. However, the big thing you'll see is that at the moment I've only decided to hire just 5 coaches. And that is simply because looking through the rest of the coaches on this list, they're all pretty naff. they've either got pretty poor star rating, or those that actually do have a half decent star rating don't exactly have any decent knowledge whatsoever. So I think right now I'm still unsure about the true value of what these coaches offer, so I'm going to stick to just the 5 at the moment, see how we play out over the course of the next few episodes, and then make a decision later on as to whether or not I'm going to add any more. Now, I've had a word with the scouts, and obviously I've come up with a huge long list of players who may well be of use to the club moving forward. However, before we start looking at our incoming transfers, first things first, we've got to look at some of the players who will be heading out the door this summer. And there's only really 3 of any major note. Firstly, our reserve goalkeeper Marcus Bettinelli departs the club for 810 grand. After being left out of Chelsea's Premier League squad in real life, Malang Sarr departs to Fenerbahce for 5.5. And it looks like Manchester United's recruitment strategy has been just as shaky as Chelsea's have been over the last few years, as they have decided to bring in the much maligned Marc Cucurella for £32.3 million. And with those departures, the board have allowed us a whopping £185 million still left to spend. Now, I've mentioned I've got a whole host of different players all shortlisted playing in a variety of different positions. However, for me, my number one priority in the position that I do want to start off with in this transfer window is in goal. Now, with Alex Merritt being 26 years of age and impressing at Napoli last season, he could well be a decent option. And similar to him, having broken to the setup in the national squad for Spain, Unai Simon is impressing for Atletico Bilbao. Mamardashvili is another goalkeeper impressing in the Liga, and with him only being 22 years of age, he's got time on his side to continue his development. But for me, the 25-year-old, 87-rated Gregor Kobel stands out by an absolute mile. He has every single stat that a goalkeeper would realistically want, and he is someone who would immediately come in and improve our starting 11. However, with his asking price being around £108 million, whilst Todd Boehly might be okay to spend that sort of money, I'm not quite sure I want to do that yet in this career mode, with a lot of other areas of my squad still needing to be developed. So instead, I've decided to go for a man who is making waves at both club and international level. A man who has been regularly linked with a variety of different English clubs over the course of the real-life summer transfer window, and a man who I'm sure will be absolutely desperate to finally be able to make the move to the Premier League. He's a goalkeeper who has the potential to be an absolute superstar, and someone who I'm confident will fit in like a glove at Chelsea Football Club. It is the Portuguese sensation Diogo Jota who will be joining Chelsea in a deal worth £43.5 million. As you saw in his intro, he will immediately come in and become our number one, as well as becoming the best goalkeeper at the club. He's got age on his side, only being 23 years of age, and he's got more than enough potential to develop into a world-class goalkeeper. And of course, it's a no-brainer that he will immediately come in and replace Robert Sanchez in between the sticks. And whilst clearly there is still a wide variety of different positions that I can upgrade, I think for this episode I'm going to leave Diogo Jota as being my one and only signing so far. And that is simply because I want to give you guys the opportunity to decide who will be coming in to play for Chelsea Football Club this season. Again, let me know down in the comments below who you think would be the best players for the best positions for this team, and of course, I will be sure to sign them. And so, with the players ready ahead of pre-season and the fans keen to see what sort of impression I'm going to have in my first game as Chelsea manager, it turns out to be Christopher Nkunku who makes a lasting impression with 2 absolute screamers to open up his Chelsea account. And Diogo Costa's also keen to start off his Chelsea career in good standing, pulling off some fabulous saves. However, it's still clear to see that the defence is still a bit of a shambles, and Mudryk also seems to be picking up from where he left off in real life, with him still yet to ignite his Chelsea career. However, on the completion of pre-season, one interesting piece of news is an offer from Borussia Dortmund for Raheem Sterling for £40.4 million. However, with him being our best winger and one of the best players at the club, plus playing incredibly well for Chelsea in real life, unfortunately, it's a deal that I'm probably going to have to think about turning down. It has, however, got me thinking about his long-term future at the club, and with him being 28 years of age, it's highly unlikely that he's going to improve any more on his 83 rating. So let me know down in the comments below what you think I should do with Raheem Sterling. Should I continue to keep him at the club for the remainder of the season, or should I think about considering putting him on the transfer list and trying to cash in on our English international? Now, having given us such a big transfer budget to spend, I'm actually relatively comfortable with some of the objectives that the board have given us. With them wanting us to achieve a Champions League place in the Premier League and win the FA Cup this season, I think that is pretty doable for a club of our stature. However, if we are going to do that, we're going to have to make sure that the tactics put in place are the right ones for us to achieve our goals. Starting off with the formation, I think for now I am going to stick with this 4-2-3-1 that Pochettino likes to use. Obviously, we're playing a high press system, so I'm going to push the defensive depth right the way up to 75. I want to make sure in our offensive build-up we've got plenty of forward runs from more of our deeper players, as well as trying to get as many players in the box as possible to take advantage of overload situations. Now, my strikers have got enough pace that they should be able to get in behind the defence, and I want to give Enzo Fernandez license just to roam around the pitch to try and pick up some decent positions. Naturally, the likes of Mudryk and Sterling will be cutting inside at all opportunities, and that means I'm going to be relying on my fullbacks to create width, constantly overlapping them to try and create some spaces out wide. I think for now I'm pretty comfortable with this formation. Obviously, we'll see how it pans out in our opening game of the season, but again, let me know down in the comments below if there's any other way you want to see this Chelsea team set up, or if you think you could do any better with some of the players we've got available. And in fact, I'm feeling so confident in this system and my own managerial abilities that I have decided to call a press conference ahead of our first game of the season to try and rally the troops. As whilst the board want us only to qualify for the Champions League, I'm confident we might even be able to go one step further and challenge for the title. But with Liverpool standing in our way in our opening game of the season, my start to life in Chelsea colours perhaps couldn't get any more difficult. Diogo Costa, of course, will get his first opportunity to make his debut in a Chelsea shirt. Our defence is made up of the likes of Reece James, Disasi, Silva and Ben Chilwell. I've dropped Enzo Fernandez into the centre of midfield to partner Caicedo, with Christopher and Nkunku dropping into the central attacking midfield position, being flanked by the likes of Raheem Sterling and Mudryk on the left-hand side. And it will be Nicholas Jackson who will get the opportunity to lead the line for us today. Alexander-Arnold down the line into Mo Salah, Thiago, lovely reverse pass back to the Egyptian man, and look at him storming down this left-hand side. He's got the beating of Thiago Silva for pace into Diogo Jota. Jota into the box. What a slide tackle. How important that was, but we still can't clear our lines. What a save from Diogo Costa. Well, it's been an electric start for Liverpool in the opening 7 minutes here, and they don't look like they're about to relent, as it's a ball into the box from Mo Salah, headed away by Disasi yet again, but only out as far as Luis Diaz. Nice turn away from my midfield, and again we just about managed to block, but we're living on the edge here, and again it's poor into Thiago this time. Disasi again with a massive clearance, and Nkunku, for his first real touch in a Chelsea shirt, fires a wonderful ball out to Raheem Sterling. He's got flanked by Reece James, and Reece James is going to try and play a ball back into Sterling. Lovely done into the path of Nkunku again, who tries to hit it with his left. This time he's blocked. Caicedo from distance, wide. Disasi. Lovely ball into the path of Reece James. He's had a fantastic start to this game. Nicholas Jackson into Mudryk. Oh, he gets it all wrong. Mo Salah, again, he's got the beating of Thiago Silva, who seems to be really struggling at the back. A wonderful ball parked into the box. Nkunku out to Reece James. One touch into Enzo Fernandez. Nice stuff here. Tried to play in. Raheem Sterling couldn't find him, and now Liverpool will try and hit us on the counter-attack. They've got men forward here. McAllister still has it. Nice pass into Luis Diaz. He goes past Disasi. He can't get past. He can, though. Into Thiago, into Diogo Jota. And Liverpool take the lead, and he celebrates as if he's playing a video game. It was that easy. Well, it was Luis Diaz, a lovely ball into the path of Thiago, and I wondered what on earth he was doing, passing it back. But seemingly, he was one step ahead of me, and he was one step ahead of Diogo Costa. Unfortunately, he's not able to keep a clean sheet in his debut. Klopp celebrates. 1-0 Liverpool. Raheem Sterling has it on the right-hand side. Plays it back into Reece James. Reece James with the first-time ball in. Oh, it's headed away there by Alexander-Arnold. Not that far, and Nkunku off to Alisson. Oh, it's just we cannot seem to get there, and in the end, it's cleared away by Andrew Robertson. Virgil van Dijk, he's being hunted down by Christopher Nkunku, but he's done a really good job of managing to weave away, and he's passed it to Robertson. And now Liverpool have beaten the Chelsea press really nicely, but not nice enough, as Enzo Fernandez wins the ball back, tries to play it in. I was trying to play it into Nkunku. It was well defended by Liverpool. Into Robertson again. It's Enzo Fernandez with a brilliant challenge. Caicedo, this time into Mudryk. Mudryk tried to play it into Jackson, and again the final ball is lacking here. McAllister for Liverpool. He played a nice ball into Robertson. Robertson turns. He's got runners ahead of him. Can he find them? Yes, he can. He finds Luis Diaz. Into the box goes Luis Diaz. Lovely footwork. Big save. Well, 60 minutes in here, and of the two teams, it looks like Liverpool are more likely to double their advantage rather than us getting back into this game, as Mo Salah throws it into the box. It's headed clear, and eventually it's Nkunku will pick it up and drive away from our penalty area. McAllister. Lovely pass into Jota, and Jota has got the beating for Thiago Silva for pace. No, he doesn't. That is a fantastic piece of recovery defending by the veteran Brazilian. Mo Salah, lovely turn to get away from the substitute Ian Maatsen, who's just come on, and that is not the best start you want in Chelsea colours. It's a wonderful ball in. What a save. Just under 10 minutes remaining on the clock here, and Liverpool have got a corner, and it looks like they're going to go short. They do go short to Thiago. He throws it in, though. Headed away by the other substitute, Malo Gusto, and Thiago Silva again is there with a huge challenge, and he brings the ball out of defence, and he feeds in Christopher Nkunku, who has now moved up front, and Nkunku has the pace to get into the box here, and Nkunku with the run. Oh, and he's put it wide. Caicedo, Liverpool pressing high, determined to keep us in our own half, but Disasi brings it out of defence into Madueke, who's also on as a sub. He gives it away, and that has pretty much been the story of the game. The final ball has been lacking as the referee blows the final whistle. Well, the Liverpool players celebrate a really disappointing start to our Premier League opener. We haven't been able to give the fans what they wanted, as at full time it finishes Chelsea 0, Liverpool 1. And it's a really disappointing one as well. After giving it large at the start of the game, saying that I thought we could be title contenders, perhaps we were brought crashing back down to earth with a far superior Liverpool team. However, with such a young team, we are still going to be a work in progress, so I've just got to hope and pray that the fans have the patience to try and wait to see what happens. In spite of conceding a goal, I actually thought defensively we were pretty decent, with Thiago Silva and Axel Disasi forming a formidable partnership at the back. This man in particular was fantastic, and after a bit of a shaky start, I thought in the second half Thiago Silva was also brilliant as well. However, for me it was clear in attacking areas with the likes of Raheem Sterling and Mudryk on either side, we just couldn't find the right pass to try and unlock a stubborn Liverpool defence. And it's just so frustrating that Christopher Nkunku couldn't take his pre-season form into the first game against Liverpool, as he missed an absolute sitter after doing the hard work to begin with. And so after sorting out the goalkeeping issue, perhaps it is going to be the more attacking areas of the team that I am going to have to consider making some improvements on, and my next priority in the transfer window. Speaking of goalkeeper though, I do have to have a quick shout out to this man Diogo Costa, who will be frustrated conceding a goal on his debut, but perhaps if it wasn't for some of the fine saves that he pulled off, it could have been 3 or 4-0 in the end. So perhaps it will be sooner rather than later that I am going to have to dip my toes back into my shortlist and back into my transfer budget. And from the looks of it so far, I'm probably going to need all the help I can get from you guys. However, ahead of our next game in the Premier League, I am in a defiant mood, and I'm confident we can turn things around with immediate effect. But with us having to travel to the London Stadium to face off against our London rivals West Ham, I'm sure they will be in no mood to do us any favours whatsoever. There's only 2 major changes to my starting 11 following that loss against Liverpool, and that is that Badiashile comes in at the back in place of Thiago Silva, who drops to the bench due to a little bit of fatigue. And with Mudryk cutting a frustrating figure on the left-hand side of my midfield, Madueke comes in for his first start in a Chelsea shirt in this career mode. Into Enzo Fernandez, who's dropped deep. Nice ball into Caicedo. And Caicedo with a driving run here, and he's going to hit it with his left. Gets it all wrong, and in the end it's easy for West Ham to clear. It's like Jonathan David has moved to West Ham, and he plays a nice ball to Jared Bowen on the right hand side, and he's going to try and drive past Ben Chilwell, and he finds a lovely reverse ball into Lucas Paquetá, who stayed on side, whips a good ball into the back post looking for Ben Rama, takes it down well, finds a West Ham shirt, but it's well intercepted by Reece James, and now we can try and hit them on the counter-attack. Ball over from Nkunku. It was a poor ball. Again, it's too easy for West Ham to defend, but they make a bit of a meal of it, and eventually they get the ball back though. Reece James into Caicedo, almost into Caicedo, but ended up giving it away. And now Jonathan David into Paquetá, and Paquetá is going to try and drive away from Disasi here. Brilliant recovery defending from the young man. Madueke into Caicedo, who continuously finds himself in advanced positions for a central defensive midfielder, and he now finds a ball back to Madueke. Ball back in. I was looking for the deep run of Christopher Nkunku, couldn't find him, but again, Caicedo will pick it up. He finds Enzo Fernandez, doesn't find Enzo Fernandez, took his eye off the ball, and West Ham clear. Alvarez to try and bring the ball out of defence, finds Souček turns, beautifully done to just skip away from the challenge of Caicedo. Jonathan David into Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen to try and drive to the edge of the box here, but Disasi again with another brilliant challenge. Reece James down the line into Raheem Sterling, who's been uncharacteristically quiet so far in this half, but he sprays a wicked ball all the way out to Ben Chilwell on the left-hand side, who takes it beautifully and goes round the right back. Really nicely done from the Englishman. Fires a ball in, looking for the head of Christopher Nkunku. Couldn't find it though. Christopher Nkunku wins the ball high up the field and now is trying to drive into the West Ham penalty area. Instead, it was just played behind Nicholas Jackson. That was a golden opportunity to go 1-0 up. Again for West Ham, brings this one out of defence and is unchallenged and manages to march all the way into my half. Plays the ball into Jonathan David. Disasi again with a brilliant challenge. That man has been on fire today. Reece James into Nicholas Jackson. He turns, tries to play a ball into Madueke, does. Back out wide to Ben Chilwell. First time ball in, headed away. Kudos for West Ham. It's Disasi who's going to try and come across to put a challenge in. He isn't able to though. Souček will pick it up on the edge of the box. Conor Gallagher with a fine sliding challenge, but it's not enough. And Jonathan David into the box. Costa with a huge save. Just over 10 minutes remaining here, and the scores remain deadlocked at 0-0 here. Neither team able to break the deadlock as Madueke heads it away, only out as far as Enzo Fernandez. West Ham, though, still pressing high and still managing to win the ball back. Paqueta almost tried to win it back from Caicedo, but this time he was doing his job correctly and he won the ball well. And now Armando Broja on as a sub can try and release Madueke down the left-hand side. He does just that. Madueke there doesn't have any options in the centre. Instead he's going to go round the defender, cuts it back into the path of Enzo Fernandez. Oh my word, I thought that was going in the top right-hand corner. It's going to be Cole Palmer who's going to take the resulting corner, and he fires in a good corner looking for the smallest man on the pitch in Raheem Sterling, who obviously doesn't get to it, but he will get a second bite of the cherry here. Cole Palmer to try and fire it back in, this time looking for Gusto, the right back, who finds himself in the 6-yard box, but isn't able to put the ball in the back of the net. And much to the frustration of the Chelsea players, that turned out to be the final attack of the game. It's another really disappointing result, and another game with no goals scored, as at full time at the London Stadium it finishes West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. It's a frustrating result that leaves us in 13th place after our first 2 games with only 1 point on the board. But the biggest issue, as you can see, is the big fat 0 under the goals for. And despite having the likes of Raheem Sterling, the young and up-and-coming Senegalese striker Nicholas Jackson, and the 86 rated Christopher Nkunku, we just cannot seem to find the back of the net. Whether it's a striking problem, whether or not it's an attacking midfield problem or a creative problem from the wings, I'm just not sure what to do. Again, let me know down in the comments below how you would fix the problem, because already just 2 games in, I'm already running out of ideas. And with £146 million still left to spend, we have the budget to make a real difference to this Chelsea squad. But that is it for today's episode. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, please feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and hopefully I'll see you again next time for episode 2 of this brand new Chelsea career mode. We've taken over at Chelsea to get back to Europe's elite, and we've signed a new goalkeeper, but it still wasn't enough as we remain winless after our first 2 games. But today, with your help, it's time to get serious in the transfer window, and as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode, starting out with your comments. You should start Fofana and Levi Colwill from next season, because Disasi is slow and Silva is retiring. So yeah, I agree, we've actually got some pretty decent up-and-coming players in the centre. The likes of Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile and Levi Colwill all have the potential to be incredible centre-backs at the heart of our defence. However, I've got to be honest, I do think you're being quite harsh on Axel Disasi. I think he had a pretty decent start to life in a Chelsea shirt in his opening 2 games. Thiago Silva, on the other hand, perhaps you might be onto something. Although he is my highest rated defender at 83 and he does have the most experience ahead of all of my other centre-backs, perhaps that age of 38 was starting to show in the last couple of games. I have some recommendations to sign Takefusa Kubo and Manuel Neuer, plus you could loan someone like Griezmann and sign a superstar centre-back. Now there's no doubt that Takefusa Kubo is a highly regarded prospect, but with me just buying him for Tottenham in my last career mode, I'm kind of hesitant to bring him in this one. Now Manuel Neuer is quite an interesting shout. There's no doubt that he's a world-class goalkeeper and would offer us some valuable experience, but with him being 37 years of age and with me just bringing in the 23-year-old Diogo Costa, who started off his Chelsea career in fine fashion, I think it would be incredibly harsh to drop the Portuguese. Griezmann, though, is perhaps the most interesting shout of all. With him being 32 years of age, whilst he is in the twilight of his career, he still potentially does have a good few years left in him, and with him being 88 rated, there is no doubt he would improve the team. But with Chelsea's philosophy of bringing in younger players with a high amount of potential, would he fit the mould that the new Chelsea ownership are looking for? Mudryk was a bit sloppy, so I take a look at Armand Loriente, and I also saw you have him shortlisted in the transfer hub. He's 24, he's quick, he has decent finishing for a winger and great dribbling. He might not be the best player physically, but I'm sure he would fit that left wing spot nicely. Yeah, so Mudryk has continued the vein of form that he finds himself in real life into this career mode. He had a bit of a shocking start to pre-season and not the best start to our actual Premier League campaign either. Now rating-wise, Armand Loriente would no doubt be an improvement with him up to 80, and with him being 24, he's still got his prime years ahead of him. Yes, he does have poor physical stats in the sense that overall he's 47, but in terms of the stats you want for a winger, the likes of acceleration, sprint speed, agility, balance, all that sort of stuff, I think he's actually pretty decent in those areas. However, as you'll also see from my shortlist, I have a wide variety of other left wingers who I could potentially bring to the club as well, so I think this is definitely a position that I'm going to have to look into a little bit more detail in later on in the episode. And finally, Mudryk and Madueke are kind of okay for me at left wing and right wing. Just give them time and they will improve. And Nkunku should play as a cam, which will suit him the most, and Jackson will be okay as a striker for this season alone. But next season, when we're in the Champions League or Europa, try and bring in Osimhen, because he has been heavily linked with Chelsea in real life, and loan out the likes of Lavia, but keep Ugochukwu, because in real life he's performing well and is physically strong, which will help the central defensive midfield role. So again, a lot to unpack with this comment, and I'm actually in agreement with you that I think Noni Madueke would be a good fit on the right-hand side. Whilst I have been playing him on the left due to the poor form of Mudryk, he has all the tools to be a decent right winger, and there's no better to learn from than the more experienced Englishman Raheem Sterling on that right-hand side. Now, I definitely think one of these two, either he or Lavia, are definitely going to have to be loaned out, perhaps even both of them this season, bearing in mind we've got the likes of Conor Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo all in front of the two of them. And as for Nicholas Jackson, well, he hasn't exactly started this career mode on fire, with 2 appearances and only a 5.5 rating in the Premier League and no goals to his name. But with him playing for Chelsea up front in real life, again, I'm kind of hesitant to replace the new signing. Now, your point about Christopher Nkunku is a very interesting one, because on this game he's listed as a centre forward, but in real life my understanding was that Chelsea wanted to play him as a central attacking midfielder. So with that in mind, I put the question to you guys in a poll as to which position you wanted me to see play the young Frenchman. And as you can see, it was the closest poll I think I've ever run, with the majority just shading 51% of you deciding you want to see Christopher Nkunku play as a striker for Chelsea. And so as per your request, I'm going to switch him with Nicholas Jackson to be the main man to lead the line for me. However, as you can see, with Nicholas Jackson now moving into the cam position, that is not something that is particularly familiar for the Senegalese. And so with £146 million still left to spend, I think we know what position we're going to be looking for at the start of this episode. Now, as you can see from my shortlist, I've got 4 clear options that stand out as my favourites that I want to sign. Starting off with this man Florian Wirtz, there is no doubt he would be the best. At only 20 years of age and already 86 rated, he would fit into this Chelsea team like a glove. However, with me having to pay about £130 million to secure his services, that's not exactly going to leave me with a lot of cash to try and improve the rest of the team. The 81 rated 20-year-old Xavi Simons is probably my next best option, but with him joining PSG in real life and being sent straight out on loan to Leipzig for the remainder of the season, he's probably realistically not in a position to join Chelsea right now. So for me, that leaves me with 2 remaining options. Firstly, the 23-year-old Spaniard Oihan Sanset. He's 6'2" and he's got high attacking work rate and he's got decent stats all across the board. And then the 24-year-old Christoph Baumgartner, who perhaps his stats aren't as good as Sanset, but he does offer us a little bit more flexibility in the cam midfield position, central midfield and centre forward as well. And so having reviewed both options, it is time for me to make a definitive choice. And so the choice I've made is to bring in a man who's racked up over 100 appearances in La Liga and is now starting to break into the Spanish national team. Another man who I'm sure again will be desperate to ply his trade in the Premier League, and someone who I think can fit in very well at Chelsea Football Club. Oihan Sanset joins the club for £45 million. He's got everything that would fit into a typical Chelsea side. He's young, he's got height, he's got high attacking work rate, and he is exactly what I believe this team needs to try and get us to the next level. And with a home game up next against newly promoted Luton Town, he is going to get his first opportunity to impress in front of a rampant Stamford Bridge crowd, as we aim to try and put our winless start to bed and claim 3 points. Reece James fighting off a challenge of the Luton left winger and plays a lovely ball into Sterling, and he gives it to Sanset for his first chance to try and hit it. And instead he hits it straight at the Luton defenders. Woodrow, nice ball out to Berry on the right hand side, tries to go past Reece James. Reece James though frantically trying to track him back here. Instead it's played into the box for Woodrow, back to Berry. Nice stuff from Luton here, and it's a brilliant finish. And just like that, Luton take an unlikely lead. Well, what a horrendous start. All of my players just completely dragged out of position, and I think half of my defence completely fell asleep, and it's poor goalkeeping from Costa at his near post. To be beaten at that angle is not impressive. Luton take the lead. Sassy into Reece James. Reece James are going to try and fire this one down the line into the path of Raheem Sterling. Really nicely done, and Raheem Sterling's going to try and go past the defenders. He's done a really good job here. Raheem Sterling across the box to the back post. I was looking for Cole Palmer, who finds himself starting today, and I just couldn't reach him. Nagby to bring it forward for Luton. He tried to play it forward, but it was well intercepted by Reece James, and now we've got our tails up here. We've got to try and see if we can get a goal. Sterling back across into the box, and for Cole Palmer again, and again couldn't quite get there. We'd managed just about to keep the ball alive, but eventually Luton get it clear. Palmer with the throw into Chilwell. Chilwell back to Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher into the feet of Enzo Fernandez, who strikes. Doesn't go anywhere. Sunset will pick up the loose ball. I tried to play it into the path of Cole Palmer and it was poor in the end. Morris for Luton. Into Berry. There is no cohesion. There's no unity. There is no structure to this game so far as Luton are all over us. But Thiago Silva, the most experienced man on the pitch, manages to dig us out of a hole and now we can try and hit them on the counter. Palmer into Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and play a ball all the way out to the right-hand side to Reece James, who has got space to run into. He drives down this right-hand side. Can he try and feed a ball back over looking for Cole Palmer? Well defended by the goalkeeper as the referee blows for half-time. And as you can see, I am reading the riot act to the players here. I'm expecting far more from them against a newly promoted side at home, and I expect there to be a much better performance at the start of the second half. Raheem Sterling down this right-hand side, 5 minutes in, and already we are in the ascendancy, and it's great play from Raheem Sterling here. Tries to cut it back. Oh, almost cut it back to Sunset. It was well intercepted. Ben Chilwell into Conor Gallagher. Gallagher turns, finds Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and go down the left-hand side to Ben Chilwell. Really nicely done here. Ben Chilwell cuts back inside, looks for Sterling. He finds Cole Palmer, who finds the back of the net. It's beautiful. Well, he celebrates his first Chelsea goal, and what a goal to score. A fabulous piece of build-up play, lovely one-touch passing, and with his left foot, he just curled it in the opposite direction, away from the goalkeeper, into the top right-hand corner, and we are back on level terms here in Stamford Bridge. Morris does a really good job of trying to burst away from Disasi and Thiago Silva, and he's found Berry in an advanced position. This time Costa is on hand to save us. Woodrow for Luton now. Just about 20 minutes remaining here, and we've given away a really cheap penalty. From hero down one end to zero down our end. Cole Palmer, the goal scorer, gives away a really daft penalty, much to my disgust. And now Luton have a fabulous opportunity to get themselves back in the lead here with just 15 minutes remaining on the clock. The fans look on in desperation. Can we save it? No, we can't. They send Diogo Costa the wrong way, and Luton regain the lead at Stamford Bridge. It's a great penalty. He gave him the eyes and sent him to the left-hand side, put the ball in the top right corner. I am absolutely disgusted. It's 2-1 Luton. Sunset into Cole Palmer, turns, tries to make amends for his mistake earlier on, and he's done a really good job of getting away from the Luton defence. Now finds Sunset. Sunset, though, brings it forward and gives it away. It's been a really poor debut for the Spaniard. And Nkunku back into Sunset. Sunset finds Sterling. We have to try and see if we can get an equaliser here. Sterling across. Good save by the goalkeeper. Kabore for Luton. Oh my word, he's absolutely hacked down by Ben Chilwell, who is a very lucky man to only get away with a yellow card. Well, the Luton players are protesting, and rightly so. This was a bit of a disgraceful challenge. It was two-footed. He completely missed the ball, and he's a very lucky man as I bring on the cavalry here in desperation with 5 minutes remaining to try and get an equaliser. Potts. Luton just have to hold on for a mere matter of minutes for what is going to be a famous victory away from home. But perhaps they're looking for a third to put the game to bed. It's brilliant. Diogo Costa makes a meal of it, and oh my word, I thought they were going to sneak in for a third there. But we just about managed to get the ball away. Gallagher into Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and play in. Madueke on the left-hand side. Nice ball, but Madueke doesn't have any options. Instead manages to get away from the challenge. Nkunku now drives into the box. Nkunku with his left. Nkunku levels the scores here at Stamford Bridge. Well, look at the celebration. Look how much it means to him to get his first Chelsea goal in the Premier League. The Chelsea fans go absolutely ballistic, but it is heartbreak for Luton. But again, it was a beautiful piece of build-up play, and Nkunku, now moving into a central attacking midfield position, was able just to drop deep, find the run from the ball from Nicholas Jackson, put it in the back of the net and celebrate 2-2. And as the game comes to an end, Luton are absolutely devastated. Their hearts broken as a potential victory was ripped away from them in the last minute. Fortunately, it was that man, Christopher Nkunku, who spared our blushes at the end. But at full time here, we remain winless in the Premier League. It's Chelsea 2, Luton 2. And whilst I'm obviously incredibly happy for this young man to get his first Chelsea goal, it's a result that still leaves us in 13th place in the league. A really disappointing start to life in Chelsea colours for the Spaniard Oihaz Sunset, who had a pretty shocking performance, it must be said. Pretty much every ball he played went to the wrong player, and in the end he had to be hauled off as we tried to resurrect the game. And whilst Cole Palmer did find himself on the score sheet in the end, his naivety at the other end of the pitch will cost us dearly and could have potentially lost the game for us. And so I think it's pretty clear that there is still some work that needs to be done to this Chelsea starting 11. Now, I've had 3 games so far, and each game has started a different player on the left wing. I've had Mudryk start in the very first game and not exactly set the world alight, and only getting a 5.4 rating. Madueke did okay okay on the left-hand side, but with him being left-footed and more of a natural right winger, that is where I see his long-term future. And as for Cole Palmer, whilst he did get on the score sheet with him only being 67 rated and still being 21 years of age, I actually think a loan move might be more suitable for the young man. Now, as you can see from my shortlist, I have a wide variety of different options who could potentially fit the bill on the left-hand side of my midfield. A mixture of them who have got experience playing at the highest level and also experience playing in a variety of different leagues. But for me, at a time when I'm desperately in need for someone who can come in and hit the ground running, and someone who, after falling out with his manager Erik ten Hag at Manchester United, will be desperate to prove a point that he is ready and able to still ply his trade at a Premier League level. That is right, I'm turning to the former wonder kid who lit up German football for 2 years and now the much maligned English prospect for Manchester United, as Jadon Sancho will join Chelsea Football Club in a deal worth £42 million. And whilst Jadon does come with some baggage and some question marks over his commitment to football, I'm confident that someone like the experienced Raheem Sterling can act as a mentor to the young man and get him back on track to becoming that something special. And as we reach transfer deadline day and the club eventually agreeing a 1-year loan deal for Cole Palmer to Sheffield United, that outgoing will finish off what has been an incredibly busy transfer window at Chelsea Football Club. And with the squad now looking in a better position than it was when I took over, and £47 million still left in the transfer budget if we need any improvements come January, all attention turns to Jadon Sancho, who gets the first chance to impress in front of the Chelsea fans as he'll make his debut against Nottingham Forest. And aside from him starting on the left-hand side, there are 2 other big changes. Badiashile and Fofana will come in at the back for the likes of Thiago Silva and Disasi, as we look to try and put in a better defensive performance this time today than we did against Luton. And Sancho will get his first touch inside the opening 5 minutes, and he plays a nice ball into Raheem Sterling, who's come deep. Sterling's going to try to feed in Reece James. It was a good ball, but it was well intercepted. Magala for Nottingham Forest being chased down by Enzo Fernandez. It's now Jadon Sancho who's doing some chasing, trying to impress and very keen to impress in front of the Chelsea faithful here on his debut. But Hudson-Odoi, a former Chelsea man, is the one who can bring the ball forward. And now it's Enzo Fernandez, who's able to intercept, and he can try and release Christopher Nkunku. He does release Nkunku. He has the pace to drive into the box and strike. That is fabulous. Well, I knew there was a reason you wanted me to start him up front, and my word, he has shown why. A beautiful ball forward, and he has the pace, the guile, the tenacity to get away from the defenders. And what a finish. Absolutely drilled it into the top left-hand corner, gave the keeper no chance. And he gives us a 1-0 lead at Stamford Bridge. Into Sanset, who's picked up a lovely bit of pocket of space away from all of the Nottingham Forest defenders and drives forward here. Finds Sterling on the right. Sterling's going to look for Nkunku. Again, it's beautiful, and Nkunku this time smashed it against the defender for a corner. And it's a corner that Enzo Fernandez will take. He floats it in, looking for the head of Reece James. It's headed away for Jadon Sancho to collect. Back out to Enzo Fernandez. He'll fire it back in. This time he fires it straight against the Nottingham Forest defenders, though. Badiashile over to Ben Chilwell. This has been a brilliant opening 25 minutes here for Chelsea. Jadon Sancho into Caicedo. Caicedo into Raheem Sterling. Sterling out to Reece James. Nice stuff here. Fires it across. Looking for Jadon Sancho. He can't get there with his head. Into Awani, who's doing a really good job of leading the line for Nottingham Forest. He's found himself very isolated often, but he's managed to find a ball out to the left-hand side. Reece James blocks corner. And it looks like they're going to try and fire this one into the box, so they've got no shot options. It is to the edge of the 6-yard box. This time it's Fofana who heads it away, only out as far as the former Manchester United man Alanga. And now they strike again. Well defended though. It's blocked away, but it's still Nottingham Forest ball. They still have it, and it's Nyanzu, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who's just trying to find some sort of angle. We do a good job of blocking the ball, but it's down the line into Santos. Can he try and find a ball into the box? Well defended, but again they still have it. They still have it now, right onto the edge of the box. Mangala to play the ball forward, but it's well intercepted by Badiashile. Sanset goes out wide to Reece James, and Reece James with a first-time ball into the box here. Oh, it's brilliant. What a volley, what a save. Mangala for Forest. This game, whilst we are in the ascendancy, is still very much anyone's. It's up for grabs here as we only lead by 1 goal. And it looks like Nottingham Forest are going to try and see if they can get an equaliser, but it's well defended by Ben Chilwell. Fabulous stuff by the young Englishman. Alanga with a great ball in. Mangala, what a save from Costa. Caicedo has come deep to collect the ball, and he's trying to drive forward here. Lovely stuff. Plays it into the path of Jadon Sancho, who can now try and streak down this left-hand side. Sancho cuts back in. I was looking for a ball to Nkunku. Wasn't the best ball, and it was easily intercepted by the Nottingham Forest defence. 15 minutes remain on the clock here, and Nottingham Forest have a corner that Hudson-Odoi is going to fire in, looking for the head of Mangala. In the end, it's nicely clutched into the arms of Diogo Costa. Into Caicedo. Caicedo into Sancho. Sancho into Madueke. He shifts it onto his left. Oh, he was so close to adding a second. Karsdorp for Forest. Only a couple of minutes plus stoppage time remaining on the clock here. We have to try and see out this victory to get our first 3 points of the season. Williams on the right-hand side into Dominguez. Nottingham Forest playing it well. Into Mangala. It's well defended by Badiashile. Not well defended enough. And we got very fortunate with that. It was straight at the goalkeeper at the death. As fortunately for us, the referee blows for full time. Well, I shake the hand of the Nottingham Forest manager, much in relief more than anything else, as the players celebrate. We finally get 3 points on the board. And it's a much needed 3 points. An impressive debut from this man, Jadon Sancho. And in his first game in a Chelsea shirt, we get our first win of the season. It's 1-0 against Nottingham Forest. And whilst that's a win that only lifts us up into the top half of the table for the first time this season, you can tell from the morale of the team that it finally feels good to get 3 points on the board. And while Sancho didn't get on the score sheet or the assist sheet today, his overall play on the left-hand side of midfield certainly had an impact on our overall attacking play as well. And as for Christopher Nkunku, his fine form continues as well. Since the move up front, it's 2 goals in 4 Premier League games, and long may it continue for the Frenchman. Now, whilst we've spoken a lot about the improvements to the first team, one thing that we have to be very conscious about is the Chelsea Youth Academy. Known in real life as having one of the best youth academies in the entire country, that hasn't exactly been reflected in this career mode so far. However, there does seem to be one man, Cilia, who's got a potential rating of 92, and at 15 years of age is someone who we might want to keep an eye on. However, there can be no doubt that we need to try and utilise some of these youth scouts that we have available. And so for now, first things first, I'm going to set up a scouting network, of course, in England. With the Brazilian Thiago Silva being the best centre-back at the club, I'm going to try and see if I can raid South America to try and find a fellow Brazilian who can play in his ilk. And finally, Chelsea seem to be having some success uncovering great talent across France. So once again, I'm going to send my third and final scout there. It looks like it's going to take some time before those scout reports start coming in. So we're going to have to wait until next episode to see if we can uncover the very next World Youth Superstar. Now, I mentioned last episode about not knowing whether or not new coaches bring any value to the team. And that is why I only decided to bring in 5 for now. However, after such a poor start to the season and having some new coaches being available to us, I think it's now time that we start to add a few more to our ranks. Now, as you can see, whilst there have been a few extra coaches available to us, there's still aren't enough that we can hit the ideal star rating that we need across all the different positions. So I guess we've just got to hope for now that the coaches we have brought in have a good enough impact on our squad. And after beating Bournemouth 3-2 away from home, with Jadon Sancho getting his first goal in a Chelsea shirt, managing to get past Aston Villa 3-0 at home, with Oyan Sancet getting his first goal in a Chelsea shirt, and managing to knock Crewe out of the Carabao Cup 3-1 at home, it seems like this additional coaching has had some sort of impact on our team, as we've managed to drag ourselves up to 6th place in the Premier League, just 2 points off the final Champions League spot. However, just as I thought we were starting to get back on track, we are hit with some terrible news. Our best midfielder in Enzo Fernandez has been struck down with an ACL injury that is going to keep him out for the foreseeable future, and for 5 months to be more precise. It's heartbreak for the Argentinian, as he was just getting into his stride in the Premier League, but it's the perfect opportunity for someone like Conor Gallagher, or even an exciting prospect like Romeo Lavia, to step up to the plate and make a name for themselves in our starting 11. With the press even starting to ask questions about how the team are going to cope with the loss of such a big player. Whilst he will be a disappointing loss, I'm confident we've got cover in every position and the squad is deep enough to cope in his absence. And as we head on over to Craven Cottage for what is going to be a massive West London derby, it is going to be those 2 players who are going to get the opportunity to try and stake a claim in our starting 11 in his absence, as both Conor Gallagher and Romeo Lavia will both make their starts in the centre of my midfield. The other change is Madueke comes in on the right hand side of midfield in place of Sterling, and the likes of Fofana and Badiashile both start at the back for me. And straight away, Romeo Lavia is getting in and amongst it, and he's played a fabulous ball into the path of Christopher Nkunku, who finds the other player, Madueke. What a save. So within the first 10 minutes, we have a corner, and it's a corner that man Madueke is going to take, fires it into the near post. And it's a big head from Nkunku, but an even bigger save from Leno. Second corner of the game that Madueke will take, and again he fires it into the near post. Fofana tried to get his head on it, headed away by the Fulham defenders. Out to Sancho. Sancho turns, looking for some sort of option, finds Badiashile. He finds Madueke, fires it across. It was a good ball, but there was no one in there. Andreas Pereira for Fulham, being hunted down by Badiashile, but finds a nice ball out wide. Reece James can't do enough to put a challenge in. Fofana can, though. Good defending. Harrison Reed for Fulham, well challenged by Madueke. And can I try and release Christopher Nkunku? I can. It's a beautiful reverse pass. And look at the pace and the space that he has. He fires it into the back of the net. Thank you very much, 1-0 Chelsea. A brilliant run. He showed great awareness to get himself in the right position, and when you give him that much time and space, he will find the back of the net, just as he did, and he fires us into a much-deserved 1-0 lead here in Craven Cottage. Castagna for Fulham, trying to go past Jadon Sancho, who's back defending but doesn't do a good enough job. Badiashile does to head it away, but it's only out as far as Palhinha. He gets it all wrong though, and now we can try and hit them on the counter-attack. Sunset to release Sancho down the left-hand side, and Sancho instead is going to cut inside and try and feed a ball to Nkunku. It was a poor ball and a poor decision. Oyhan Sunset though has another opportunity to drive forward here, and this time he finds a better ball into Christopher Nkunku. Nice play out to the left-hand side to Chilwell. Sancho has it. Sancho with his left. Good save. Andreas Pereira challenged well by Fofana, but Fulham still managed to keep hold of the ball. It's back inside for Vinicius Junior. Badiashile, though, the other centre-back, is good enough to put in a good enough challenge. And Madueke now can release a lovely ball out to Reece James. My word, that was sensational. And Reece James to play it across, and Nkunku just stopped his run. If he continued going, he would have been in. Fofana all the way out to Reece James, who's free on the right-hand side. Finds Sunset, though. He gives it back to James. This time he fires it across again. Gets the cross all wrong. Lavia, who's done a really good job of just holding fort in the centre of the park here as Madueke has it after a ball from Conor Gallagher. What a strike, what a goal. Well, he starts in place of Sterling, and my word, what a raid to repay the manager. It was Conor Gallagher, the man who also made a start in place of Enzo Fernandez, who fed him in, and that is a fabulous finish past the goalkeeper. As I celebrate, it's 2-0. Diop, oh, that is a beautiful ball. He's just carved my defence open here. Ben Chilwell frantically trying to get back here, but he can't put a challenge in, and my word, it went through the goalkeeper's legs. Madueke, lovely reverse pass into the path of Reece James, cuts it back into Nkunku, Nkunku into the box, Nkunku taken out from behind, and surely that has to be a penalty. Look at this, it's a horrendous foul. He made no attempt to play the ball, and he knows it's got to be a penalty. And it is going to be that man, Christopher Nkunku, who's going to step up here, the man who was fouled, to get himself his second of the game and our third. It's a brilliant finish. He's absolutely delighted. He is a man in sensational form this episode since his move up front. The goalkeeper went the right way, but the shot was too powerful and too accurately placed. It's a brilliant penalty, and much to my delight, it's 3-0. Fulham surely just trying to play for pride here and try and see if they can get a consolation goal, but it's Castagna down the right-hand side. They've worked this really well. Fire it into the box. Fofana with a big head. He has been brilliant at the back alongside Badiashile as the referee blows for full time. Well, I think my face says it all. Absolutely delighted with the performance, as are the players. It was arguably our best performance of the entire season so far. That man Christopher Nkunku will surely take the plaudits, as his 2 goals were enough to give us a 3-0 victory here at full time against Fulham. And whilst Christopher Nkunku will take the plaudits, for me the most pleasing thing was the performance of the entire team. In the absence of such a big player, it would be understandable if some of my younger players might drop their heads. But with morale now sky high and the team moving up into the Europa League spot in 5th place in the Premier League, it looks like some of my younger players have really got the bit between their teeth and starting to develop into quality players. I think the move to centre forward has done this man the absolute world of good, as within 7 Premier League games, he's notched up 7 goals and an overall rating of 8.14. An unbelievable start to this young man's Chelsea career. And while Sterling only has 1 goal and 1 assist to his name in 5 Premier League appearances, there can be no doubt he has had a significant impact to our overall attacking play on the left-hand side. And so with some huge games coming up over the next couple of months, and with my first team really starting to take shape, and the club moving in the right direction in the Premier League, I think it's a pretty positive time to be a Chelsea fan. But that is where we are going to leave today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I said, if you are enjoying the series, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. We are on a mission to get Chelsea back to the top table of Europe's elite. Jadon Sancho's joined to resurrect his career, and Christopher Nkunku leads the goal-scoring charts. But today is the day when we unearth the very next Raheem Sterling. And as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode, starting out with your comments. You should sign Kimpembe from PSG or re-sign Rudiger. Yeah, so I've made it abundantly clear that whilst Thiago Silva is still currently my highest rated defender, at now age 39 and already gone down by 2 points so far this season, season, I am definitely going to need to look for a long-term replacement for the Brazilian. However, whilst in real life Kimpembe would be a fantastic addition, with him being 28 years of age and in the peak of his powers and having everything that I would want in a centre-back, it looks like Atletico Madrid has stolen a Martinez and snapped him up from PSG on this career mode. As for Antonio Rudiger, with him being 85 rated, there is no doubt that he's a world-class defender, plus he showed his defensive stature the last time he pulled on a Chelsea shirt. However, with the club's new policy of buying up young players and with him being 30 years of age, plus now playing for arguably the biggest club in world football in Real Madrid, would he realistically want to rejoin the club at this point in his career? Since your budget is so much, why don't you sign for Kaio Tomori as a Thiago Silva replacement? Now this is a very interesting shout. Another man who's got experience playing in the Chelsea colours, and another man who I'm sure would be desperate to return back to the Premier League. And with him being 25 years of age and already 85 rated, there is no doubt he would immediately come in and improve my defence. However, you spoke of our transfer budget, and as you can see, we've only got £40 million left to spend, and with AC Milan seemingly wanting something in the region of around £81.4 million, he might well be out of our budget as we head into January. That's not to say though, if I don't see any sort of improvement from some of the younger centre-backs that I have already at the club, if we do manage to claw our way into the Champions League spots by the end of the season, then perhaps he might be someone I want to turn to in the summer transfer window to make a triumphant return to Chelsea Football Club. Due to Enzo Fernandez being injured, I'd say loan out Romeo Lavia and keep Hugo Chukwu as a substitute, or vice versa, but it's your choice. One player that I think can fill out for Enzo Fernandez's absence is Joe Linton from Newcastle. He's a very physical player, quick for a central midfielder, great passing and lovely stats all round. So yeah, a massive blow midway through last episode with my best central midfielder Enzo Fernandez rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament and being out for now 5 months. Now out of the two young players who could potentially replace him, this young man is no doubt showing great potential, but with him only being rated 73 and yet to start in the Premier League for me this season and yet to really have much Premier League experience for Chelsea in real life, I have to be honest, I think I lean more towards this man Romeo Lavia. He played well in his opening Premier League start for us last episode, and he's got a wealth of experience playing for Southampton in the Premier League as well. Plus, just like his French colleague, he's an exciting prospect as well who could develop into a world-class central midfielder. So I think what I'll do is I'll stick Hugo Chukwu on the loan list for now. Hopefully I can see if I can get a club to come in for him, at least in the January transfer window, to get some much-needed experience in the second half of the season. And I will definitely keep hold of this man, Romeo Lavia. Plus, I'll also upgrade his development plan to be focused on a deep-lying playmaker, which will hopefully advance his progress even quicker. And then as for Joe Linton, as you can see, I haven't quite scouted him yet, so I don't know what his exact rating is. But with him being 6'1", with high attacking and defensive work rate, and seemingly pretty decent stats right across the board, he could well fit in as a fantastic box-to-box midfielder for me, should I need one come January or even in the summer transfer window next year. However, last episode we made the sudden realisation that we don't really have many players coming through in our own youth academy except for this young man, but with him only being 15 years of age and only 49 rated, he is nowhere near ready to be promoted to the senior team. So instead I sent 3 of my scouts off to England, Brazil and France to try and uncover the best young talent across world football. And fortunately enough, whilst looking across England, there are a few decent players that my scouts has come across, but there is one in particular who stands out by a country mile. The left-footed Arthur Ryan has a potential rating of between 81 and 94, but perhaps the most impressive thing about him is just at 17 years of age he's already valued at £1.3 million, and so I think it is an absolute no-brainer that we sign him to our youth academy. And looking at his attributes, I can understand why he was valued so highly. He's already got 4-star skill moves and he's got fantastic pace for such a young man, plus he's got some decent stats right across the board, as well as the fact he can play both on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of midfield. And whilst it's slightly concerning he has both a low attacking and defensive work rate, I'm sure that with a quick upgrade to his development plan, which can be tailored around trying to improve his attacking work rate to begin with, he may well develop into a sensational player, and that is why I am confident enough already to promote him to my senior team. And it's no surprise to see this is a promotion he's been absolutely delighted about. It's something he's been dreaming about, and he's absolutely desperate to show everyone what he can do. And whilst I've been really impressed with his stats so far, he's just got to make sure he keeps working hard, and hopefully good things will happen for him. However, with a series of tough games coming up in the Premier League over the course of the next month, and whilst he has the potential to be something special, I think he's just going to have to wait a little bit longer and work a little bit harder in training before he can make his debut in a Chelsea shirt. Now, I mentioned at the start of the episode, after a fabulous start to life in Chelsea colours, Christopher Nkunku is lighting up the Premier League. In fact, he is the Premier League pace setter with 7 goals in just 7 games. And whilst my original plan was to play him in central attacking midfield. Following your advice to move him up to being our lone striker up front, he has been an absolute revelation. And with him having that something special, only being 25 years of age but already going up to 87 rated, having just played the opening few months of the season, there is absolutely no telling what this young man could potentially achieve. And it seems like the good form for him just continues to keep on coming. A hat-trick for him away from home against Burnley should have been enough for us to win the game, but somehow we've managed to concede 3 ourselves and draw it 3-3. But as we begin to play our first game of this new episode, we're going to have to make sure that our defence is more watertight this time around as we welcome a far tougher opposition in Arsenal to Stamford Bridge. Ben Chilwell tries to bring the ball forward and finds Jadon Sancho really nicely. He's going to look for the overlapping run of Ben Chilwell down the left-hand side. Going to try and dink this in, looking for Sunset. Well headed away, corner. It's going to be a corner that Raheem Sterling is going to take. He's going to throw it into the edge of the box. Looks for Christopher Nkunku short, but couldn't find him. Sancho will pick up the loose ball, heads it down, and got it all wrong, and it's an Arsenal goal kick. Saka for Arsenal. Oh, lovely little dink pass into the path of Gabby Jesus. Wonderful stuff from Saka there. And now Gabby Jesus tries to streak past Ben Chilwell. Good defensive challenge though. It's an Arsenal corner. Well, it's corners on both ends of the pitch here inside the opening 15 minutes. End-to-end stuff at Stamford Bridge, as both teams look to try and make the opener here. Caicedo heads it clear. Not out very far though, only to Saka, who goes to strike, and it's saved well from Costa. And the goalkeeper stops us from going 1-0 behind early on. It's another Arsenal corner, and it looks like they're going to go short for a second time in this game. And they do go short, and it's Saka so far, who's been the danger man. Lays it off to Jorginho, the former Chelsea man. This time it's well defended by Badiashile. Far better defensive work this time around. And he gets the ball clear. We've got a free kick here though in a dangerous position, and it is going to be the in-form man, Christopher Nkunku, who's going to try and step up and take this. He's got it at a good angle. He gets it over the wall. It's well saved by the goalkeeper. Reece James bursting forward. Neither team really playing particularly well so far in this game, but Sterling manages to find Oyhan Sanset. He plays it across the box, well defended this time though by Cedric. Reece James wins it high up the pitch and finds Oyhan Sanset, who turns really nicely, shifts it onto his left, but he's ended up getting blocked off by the Arsenal defence. And instead I'm going to try and play this into Ben Chilwell again. Well defended by Cedric. Jesus has come deep in a desperate attempt to try and get the ball for Arsenal, and he's done a good job to be fair, as they've managed to beat our press, and now they play it down the left hand side into the path of Martinelli. He's being chased down by Reece James. Is he going to try and look to fire a ball across here? It's blocked by Reece James. It's another Arsenal corner, and this time it doesn't look like they're offering a short option, so they are going to throw it in the box. It's Saka to throw it in, looking for the head of Martinelli. Instead it's headed clear by Jadon Sancho. Only out as far as Saka again though. He's going to try and play it in the box. Caicedo trying to challenge him. Doesn't do a good enough job, and Arsenal keep the ball alive with Zinchenko. Into Thomas Partey. He's looking for someone to give the ball to. Into Jorginho, and he blazes it over the bar. And Chilwell under pressure. Wriggles away from Saka really nicely. And he's beaten the Arsenal press here, and he's bursting away from our defence. Into Nkunku. Into Sunset. He goes out wide to Reece James. He's got acres of space to run into here. I'm going to try and drive into the box. Play it across. I was trying to look for the low pass. It was well blocked. Jorginho. Into Saka. He's popping up in all sorts of areas, Saka, today. He's been so dangerous for us. We just cannot seem to get the ball off of him, and it's a lovely piece of play there for Arsenal. And again, it's Saka now, this time to drive down the right-hand side. He's been double marked, but still we can't get the ball off him. Jorginho into Gabby Jesus. Well blocked by Badiashile. Sunset into Raheem Sterling. This game is really starting to open up here as both teams in desperation to try and find a goal, and Saliba with a thumping challenge. Caicedo down the line into the substitute Ian Matson. He's got space and he finds Oyhan Sunset. He finds Nkunku, and Nkunku almost found the back of the net. But what a save from Ramsdale. Look how much it means to the Arsenal players. They know how important that was. Look at this. I thought it was going to be a certain goal, but a fabulous diving save with Ramsdale put an end to it, and put an end to the good form that Nkunku is on at the moment. But it will be Sunset to take the resulting corner. Fires it in, looking for the head of the other substitute, Gusto. In the end, it's a weak head and easy for Ramsdale this time. It's going to be Gabby Jesus to fake the free kick and look for Saka, who balloons it over the bar. And it's Shile into Matson. Neither team so far able to break the deadlock. And with only about 15 minutes remaining on the clock, can either team do it? It's a pass to Caicedo. It's well challenged by Cedric. Arsenal try and escape with the ball, but Badiashile presses high and wins it. And now Mudryk finds Ian Matson on the left-hand side. He plays it into Sunset, cuts back in. Sunset to strike on his right, straight at the goalkeeper. It's another Chelsea corner. It is going to be that man Sunset to take the resulting corner yet again, and he fires it in, this time looking for the head of Madueke. It's headed down though. Saliba tries to get there, boots it clear. Jorginho into Saka. Saka's surely going to look for a ball into the feet of Gabby Jesus, but instead decides to keep running. And this time, Badiashile with a fabulous challenge. And now Mudryk can bring it out into Sunset. Sunset surely has options ahead of him. Chooses to go down the left-hand side into Mudryk. Mudryk can play it across here. I was trying to play it across to Madueke. The ball just wasn't strong enough. Declan Rice, only a matter of minutes, moments remaining in this game here for one of these two teams to try and get a goal. And at the moment, it looks like it's going to be Arsenal, but Badiashile again with a fabulous piece of defending. Now Sunset has it again. He's going to try and play it down the right-hand side into Madueke. He drives into the box here. Madueke to try and strike. He does with his right. And it's a fabulous goal from Madueke to seal the 3 points for us in the 5th minute of stoppage time. Look at the celebrations. Even I'm running with the Chelsea players. What a time to score and what a goal it was. Well, it's absolutely unbelievable. Oyan Sunset with a beautiful pass into the path of Madueke, and just the composure and the calmness to just place it past the goalkeeper. A worse player may have ballooned it, but he just showed fabulous composure to put it in the bottom left-hand corner. And we have 3 points to our name in the dying seconds of this game. Wow, what a fabulous way to end what has been an end-to-end game here at Stamford Bridge. The Arsenal players are in utter disbelief at what they've seen, but that man, Madueke, is the hero of today. Look at the celebrations. He knows how important that goal was. As at full time here at Stamford Bridge, it finishes Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0. And look at the delight on my face. It's times like this that make you realise why football is such a special game. And with the players getting more and more confident as this 8-game unbeaten run continues, I'm confident we can keep the streak going. And with the mood around the club still sky high following that dramatic late goal, and squad morale in a better place than it ever has been before. However, you can predict that some madness from the Chelsea board is going to bring everyone crashing right back down to earth. As whilst despite we're only 9 games into the season, they are still deeming 5th place not to be good enough for the amount of money the club has spent. And so unfortunately they've come marching into my office with some serious demands, and that is, if I do not achieve Champions League football this season, then I will be facing my marching orders come the end of the year. Just when the club seem to be heading in the right direction, the Chelsea hierarchy have to come in and add some unnecessary pressure to the situation. And so frustratingly for me, it seems like things are going to get a lot more tougher this season. And then almost as if to rub salt in the wounds, frustratingly for me, there is a certain player in my squad who's starting to kick up a fuss about the lack of game time that he's getting this year. Now the problem with Nicholas Jackson is, whilst I initially did plan on making him my number 1 striker this season, it has been impossible with the performances of this young man, Christopher Nkunku, and so it means that unfortunately for the Senegalese, I've had to drop him to the bench. However, he can't really have an argument, as having played 3 Premier League games, he's got an overall rating of 5.7, and he hasn't even scored or assisted in any of them. And frustratingly, it seems like he's not the only player who's seemingly unhappy with his lack of involvement this season, as whilst he started the first few games of the season partnering Thiago Silva at the heart of my defence, Axel Disasi's appearances have suddenly started to dry up, making him the next man in line to start demanding to get more game time. Fortunately enough for the two of them though, having beaten Crewe in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, we've been drawn against Nottingham Forest in the round of 16, which means it's a game that gives us the perfect opportunity to return him and Nicholas Jackson both back to the starting 11, and give us the opportunity to spring another surprise, this time on the left-hand side of midfield. That is right, the 17-year-old Arthur Ryan, the potential next Raheem Sterling, is going to get the opportunity to make his debut in a Chelsea shirt this season. And whilst he has the potential to be something special, it is time for him to truly show the Stamford Bridge fans what he can do. Beating Nottingham Forest won't be an easy task, but if we manage to do so, it will take us one step further to winning our first piece of silverware in this career mode, and will be a massive weight lifted off my shoulders, and hopefully relieve some of the pressure the board are putting on me. To Gusto on the right-hand side, he plays it into Yugo Chukwu. Yugo Chukwu looks for Romeo Lavia, the 2 central defensive midfielders starting for me. He tried to strike from distance. It was a good strike. Corner. It's going to be Mudryk to take the corner here. Inside the opening 5 minutes, we've started off this game really well. Fired in, looking for the head of Levy Colwell. And in the end, it's out to that man Arthur Ryan on his Chelsea debut. Takes it really nicely, and he strikes from distance. What a save from the goalkeeper. And he was just inches away there from his first Chelsea goal and his first Chelsea start. Wood for Forest, being chased down by Disasi, and it's a brilliant challenge from the man. Out now to Arthur Ryan, who's been heavily involved so far. Mudryk back into Ryan. Lovely stuff here. He's going to try and cut it back into the path of Nicholas Jackson. Oh, he's put it wide. Well, look at that. I cannot believe it. That was a golden opportunity for the young man to try and get back into the starting 11 with a goal. And he's made an absolute meal of it. And that is why, really, he's not starting ahead of Nkunku. Into Ryan. Another touch for the young man on his debut. He's been fantastic so far, almost scoring and almost assisting inside the opening 20 minutes here. Madueke down the line into Gusto. He's going to cut inside, drifts past the defender. I'm going to try and play this into Nicholas Jackson. He takes it. It wasn't the best ball, and in the end, we lose a little bit of momentum with the attack, but eventually we do keep the ball, and we give it away so cheaply, and that was absolutely terrible from Jackson yet again. Mudryk chasing down the Nottingham Forest defence, but it's well done for them to get away from the press. Kiyate now into the former Chelsea man Hudson-Odoi, who seems to be playing in central midfield today. He's blocked off by Disasi. How on earth that wasn't a foul, I don't quite know. But Madueke has picked it up, plays it in field to Mudryk. He finds Lavia. We can now try and hit them on the counter. Ryan to try and play it down the left-hand side. Finds Matson. He cuts inside looking for Jackson. This is his opportunity, and he fires it into the bottom right corner. It's an opportunity he takes, and it's one he's absolutely delighted with, and rightly so. A lesser player's head may have dropped after a devastating miss earlier on in the game, but not this man. He got himself in the right position, and this time he made no mistake. A wonderful finish with his left foot past the goalkeeper to get us into the lead here at Stamford Bridge. It is 1-0 Chelsea. Jackson now in high spirits after scoring that goal, and Yugochukwu will now play it into the path of Mudryk. He takes it onto his right, goes past two players, cuts it back. I was looking for the ball back to Ryan. Perhaps I should have shot as the referee blows for half-time. Lovely ball into the path of Wood. Nice stuff from Nottingham Forest at the start of the second half. Out to an unmarked Williams. Cuts it back inside from Alanga. Lovely stuff into Wood. Strikes. Goal. Brilliant. Well, they absolutely carved me apart here. I had absolutely nothing to answer for. Some brilliant play to just get into my penalty area. Much to my dismay as Nottingham Forest get back on level terms. Matson goes infield looking for Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson's going to go out wide looking for Ryan. He's going to try and cut back in. This time he plays a wonderful ball into Matson. Can Matson get there? No, he can't. It was a nice idea though from Ryan. Diarte for Nottingham Forest. Well challenged, but they keep the ball alive, and they've got it now into a penalty area again. This time Sanchez manages to save. Well, in the second half here, Nottingham Forest have ramped up the pressure, and out of the two teams, they look the more likely to score here. It's headed away. Ryan can't get there. Headed back into the box. Disasi clears. Only out as far as Yugochukwu, but it's won by Danilo into Wood, and it's well blocked by Colwell, but we are under the cosh here. Danilo for Forest into Williams. They're bursting forward in numbers here. Kiyate strikes. Colwell with the block again. Ryan tried to win it. He was taken out there, but unfortunately he didn't manage to win a foul. And Alanga now will try and bring it forward. Trying to be challenged by Ian Matson. Isn't challenged. Fires it back in the box. Headed away by Gusto. Not very far out though. Lavia will try and win it. And it's Ryan to burst clear here. He does try and burst past Aurier, but it's well defended by the more experienced man. Ryan again to bring the ball forward. It's been a brilliant display here on his debut. And he finds Nicholas Jackson. And Nicholas Jackson now to try and burst forward and see if he can play the ball back into Ryan. He can. Ryan takes it onto his right hand side, plays it back to Jackson. Jackson strikes, gets it wrong, well blocked. Hudson-Odoi, the former Chelsea man. There's only less than 5 minutes remaining on this game. We are in stoppage time now. Disasi brings it out of defence, finds Madueke. The referee blows for full time, and it is 1-1 here at the final whistle. And as you can see, looking at the two teams, we are going to be going straight to a penalty shootout. It's going to be the first penalty shootout of this career mode, and it is Ryan who's going to step up here to try and sends the keeper the wrong way, and he gets a goal. But it's Wood for Nottingham Forest here. I'm going to go to the left. He sends me the wrong way. It is 1-1 again. This time it's going to be Madueke to step up. Madueke with his left. I'm going to try and put this top left-hand corner. Well saved by the goalkeeper. And now we are in real trouble. It's going to be Sanchez to step up for Forest. It's saved this time by the other Sanchez. And now it's Hennessy who's going to try and save from Nicholas Jackson here. Can Nicholas Jackson make amends for earlier? He does. A brilliant left-footed shot. And we are back in the lead here. Serge Aurier now to try and save. And it is Sanchez who saves. And it's now Mudryk to step up. My word, this is a fascinating penalty shootout. Saved by the goalkeeper. What on earth is happening here? Now it's Gibbs-White sends Sanchez the wrong way. It is 2-2 here. And this is the defining penalty. Yugochukwu to step up. Going to put it top left. He does put it top left. And now it is all down to Robert Sanchez. That man, if he can save from Alanga, we will be going through to the next round. Alanga's going to step up. I'm going to try and save. And Sanchez does save. He sends Chelsea through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, and our first chance of silverware in this competition remains alive, much to the Chelsea players' delight. Well, penalty shootouts are always dramatic, and it wasn't exactly part of our plans, but to be honest, I'm just delighted that we managed to get through. It's a massive weight lifted off my shoulders, but for me, the most important thing was the performance of this man, Arthur Ryan, thrown into the deep end for his first appearance in a Chelsea shirt. I believe in his ability, and I think he did absolutely fantastically. The big question moving forward though now is, what do I do with this young man? Because he's obviously not really good enough at this point in time to make a true dent in my starting 11, but I don't really want to hold up his development. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Do I keep him in the squad and allow him to learn from the more experienced players, or do I look to send him out on loan and hope that he can get some much needed first team football elsewhere for the second half of the season? However, after that victory, we've now been drawn against Brentford in the quarter-finals. In a cup competition, I really think we can go far in. But turning our attention back to the Premier League, and with us being in 5th place, just 1 point off Spurs in the final Champions League spots, it is going to be our arch rivals Tottenham who we're going to be playing against in our very next game, in a game that is more than likely going to be a season-defining game, and one that is going to have massive ramifications on the Champions League fight this season. Heung-min Son for Spurs, being chased down by Fofana, but cuts inside really nicely, and now Reece James frantically trying to get back, but Son still has it in the box, goes past 3 players. Oh my word, he has completely ripped my defence apart with just 5 minutes played. Well, what on earth were my defence doing? He goes past 1, 2, 3 players, and then what was Costa doing? He's beaten at the near post, diving in the wrong direction. What on earth is the goalkeeper doing? He cannot be beaten from that angle, and it is an absolutely disastrous start here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Raheem Sterling tries to go past Udogie, and he's taken out by the young Italian here, and the referee walks over to the Italian as Sterling looks like he is down hurt here. Is the referee going to brandish a card? It's only a yellow card, and he can consider himself a very lucky man. Kulusevski's going to try and play a ball into the path of Bentancur, and he's got the beating of Chilwell for pace here. Bentancur down the right-hand side, turns really nicely, looking to go past Fofana. Can't go past Fofana, but Spurs keep it alive with Pedro Porro, and now Bentancur's in acres of space here. Where are the challenges? Fofana comes across, and Fofana I almost thought was going to give away a penalty, but he's done really well to win the ball and bring it out of defence. Sunset goes across to an unmarked Reece James down the right-hand side. I'm going to try and cut back inside here. Going to go one-on-one with Udogie. I go over this time to Ben Chilwell, and for some reason I think Ben Chilwell has been flagged offside, and he has been flagged, and look at this. It is literally a toe distance between him and the last defender. And he's so unlucky with that one. Down the right-hand side to Kulusevski. Kulusevski trying to cut in. Lovely footwork to get away from Ben Chilwell, who struggled so far in the opening 20 minutes. Kulusevski continues. Big save this time from Costa. And it is that man, the Swede, Kulusevski, who's going to take the corner. And he goes short this time to Heung-min Son. Son twisting, turning. Well to get away from Sterling. Back into the box for the yellow card man, Udogie. And Costa with another big save. And somehow he manages to keep it in play. Romero for Spurs. Into Udogie. They are certainly in the ascendancy here. And Udogie just drives past 3 of my players, fires it into the back post, looking for Kulusevski, and Costa is there again. Ben Chilwell to bring this forward. He's being challenged by Kulusevski, goes past him really nicely, and Nkunku back to Chilwell. Chilwell's going to drive into the box, look for the cut back into Nkunku. He's managed to drive past the defenders, and in the end it's just about snuffed away from Spurs. Heung-min Son, he's got an option of Sarr up ahead of him. Sarr does a really nice job of holding the ball up, and Son has it again. This time he's held up by Fofana, but Fofana's under pressure, manages to get away from the pressure and does a really good job there. And now Reece James to go down the right-hand side. End-to-end stuff here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 2 teams that are desperate to try and score against each other. Raheem Sterling fires it across all the way over to Ben Chilwell. Chilwell takes it down with his chest, looks for a ball into Sunset. He's blocked off. That would have been a great ball, but Nkunku picks it up, and Nkunku looks for Sterling. Sterling has it on the edge of the box, and this time it's Udogie with a brilliant challenge right at the last attempt. Sarr for Spurs. My word, I can't keep up with the action here. Ben Chilwell, oh my word, he's done a really good job of just knocking it past Kulusevski as the referee blows for half-time and a much-needed breather. Into Heung-min Son. Son comes deep and now cuts into the centre and finds a nice ball into Richarlison, and they've done a really good job here. Sarr skips away from the challenger. Fofana doesn't have too many options. In the end, though, does manage to find Richarlison. Now it's Kulusevski. The overlapping run of Pedro Porro is there. This time it's Badiashile to come across and win the ball. And now Nkunku has it. This is our opportunity to try and burst past the Tottenham defence here. And Nkunku has the pace to do just that. He drives into the penalty area. Nkunku goes on his own. And Lloris, who's starting goal for Spurs, with the save. And look at the Spurs players. They know how important it was. Going to be Sterling with the corner. He's going to fire this one in, looking for the head of Jadon Sancho over the bar. Spurs have got a free kick in a very dangerous position here that Heung-min Son is going to take. He's just dinking it into the penalty spot. It's headed away by Caicedo. Gusto with an acrobatic clearance into the path of Jadon Sancho. And Sancho now into Nkunku. Nkunku now to try and drive forward. And Nkunku is going to burst forward here. Has he got the pace? He's just run out of stamina, and Udogie comes across the cover. Matson to try and bring it down this left-hand side. Try and inject some energy into this attack for us. And look at the pace. He's just got the beating of Pedro Porro. It's all too easy. And now going to try and cut it back into the path of Jadon Sancho. Well blocked by Eric Dyer. And we just cannot keep the ball alive. alive. Spurs get it clear. Højbjerg, though, picks it up on the edge of the box. Richarlison has it blocked well. Caicedo out to Sunset. We have to try and do something here. It's into the substitute, Nicholas Jackson. Jackson down this left-hand side. He doesn't have any options, so instead I'm going to try and take it all alone. Nicholas Jackson continues his run. I'm going to try and play this across into the path of Jadon Sancho. Højbjerg clears. Not good enough. Heung-min Son into Bentancur. Surely the referee blows for full time. He does. And that is that. Well, after an absolutely shocking opening 5 minutes here, it looked like we were going to be in for an absolute battering as that man Heung-min Son got the only goal. However, after an end-to-end game, we come away very disappointed, having not been able to score and not being able to at least get a draw here. As at full-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it finishes Spurs 1, Chelsea 0. And it's an even more frustrating one as that result has dropped us down now out of the Europa League spot into 6th place as Manchester United overhaul us. And now Spurs have got up to 2nd with that win. But not only that, with morale starting to slip and Raheem Sterling apparently frustrated after being subbed off midway through the game, are the cracks beginning to show in this Chelsea team. And whilst Christopher Nkunku is holding up the fort for us with 11 goals and 11 appearances in the Premier League, Oyhan Sanset is my next best goal scorer with just 2 goals to his name. And with the likes of Nicholas Jackson and Madueke being the only other 2 players who've got more than 1 goal this season, you can clearly see that a lot of my other players just aren't pulling their weight. Now, is that due to the formation I'm playing? Is it due to some of the tactics I'm trying to implement with this Chelsea team? Or perhaps I've just got the player instructions all wrong for the players that I've got at my disposal? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts as to how I should arrest this poor Chelsea form at the moment. And with this only being about a month away from the start of the January transfer window, and with us still having almost £40 million to spend, again, let me know your thoughts as to what areas of the team you want to see improved, and perhaps what other players you want to see plying their trade in a Chelsea shirt in the second half of the season. But unfortunately for me, with Manchester City, the next team we are about to welcome to Stamford Bridge, things are not about to get any easier. It's a Manchester City team that of course are in the hunt for the Champions League spots and the Premier League title. And it is a team that are going to be absolutely desperate to try and secure 3 points against us. But it's a ball down into the path of Haaland here. Haaland now drives past Fofana like he's not even there. And this time Costa is able to save at his near post. Madueke into Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher's going to try and fire a ball all the way over to Ian Maatsen, who also starts in place of Ben Chilwell, who struggled against Spurs earlier. Maatsen tried to do the dance around the Manchester City midfield, but perhaps got a little bit too ahead of himself. And now City are going to try and hit us on the counter-attack as Jack Grealish has managed to get past Reece James here. Fofana desperately trying to come over and cover, and he does a really good job of doing so. Into Nunes. Nunes to Jack Grealish, who's dropped deep. City trying just to play the ball around, trying to fill the gaps and unplug what is a stubborn Chelsea defence at the moment. Oyhan Sanset wins it. He finds Gallagher, and now he releases Sanset, and Sanset surely has the time and space to drive into the box. Sanset to hit it. Sanset to give us a 1-0 lead. Well, he slides on the floor. It's his 3rd goal in the Premier League so far this season, and it's against the run of play, but my word, did we need it. The crowd go absolutely wild, and you can understand why. It is a fabulous counter-attacking goal, and it's an even better finish from the Spaniard. He gave Ederson no chance here, and much to his delight, it is 1-0. Kuna for City tried to play the ball forward, but it's well intercepted by Reece James. Now Conor Gallagher into Oyhan Sanset. Nice turn into Madueke. Lovely stuff into Nkunku. Well defended by Stones. Oh my word, City almost get it all wrong there, and they just about clear their lines. Sancho won the ball high, and now Sanset, who's been heavily involved so far in this game, plays it off to Madueke. He switched it onto his left. Lovely stuff to get past 2 Man City defenders. He still has it. Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Well, what a goal from the young Englishman. Absolutely brilliant. He got it onto his left, went past 1 player, went past 2, put it through the legs of John Stones, and he had the composure to just finish low, past the goalkeeper. Fabulous stuff. The tenacity of the young Englishman was absolutely fantastic. And that goal gives us a 2-goal cushion, much to Pep's disgust. Madueke again has it now. He is full of confidence, and Oyhan Sanset is another man. Those two with the 2 goals, and you can see the difference it has made to their play. Reece James into Conor Gallagher. Gallagher tries to find Sancho. Sancho into Sanset. Sanset to try and strike. It goes to Sancho again. Oh, and this time they just about get it clear, but it's Caicedo who now has it. And Nkunku, he's going to try and get it on the act. What a save from Ederson. Sanset, though, to try and cut it back. In the end, Walker defends well. Well, we really have our tails up here. We were in poor form heading into the game, but my word, you wouldn't think of it with the performance. Headed away by the Manchester City defence. Madueke to throw it back in, this time looking for Nkunku, headed away again by the Manchester City defence. Walker for City down the line into Julian Alvarez. Lovely turn away from Ian Maatsen, and it's fired across at the back post. What a sensational goal. Well, I can't even be frustrated with that. A fabulous cross, and Jack Grealish unmarked at the back post. That is arguably goal of the season. What a first-time volley. I mean, Costa, perhaps he could have done better. It was close to him, but my word, the velocity that was on that strike was unbelievable. And City have a route back into the game. Luis Alberto out to Walker. Walker to try and cut inside. He's going to look for Phil Foden. City now, all of a sudden, the pendulum has swung and the momentum has switched between the two teams. Caicedo now into Nkunku. Can we try and wrestle it back? No, we can't. It's really poor, but Nkunku wins it again. And now we have options. Nkunku over to Madueke on the right-hand side. Madueke continues his run. Stones is blocked off. Madueke into the box. What a goal. What a finish. It is 3-1. Well, it looks like the last-minute winner in the other game in this episode has done this man's confidence absolute wonders. It's his second goal, and it's another brilliant one. This time a fabulous dribble. John Stones was held up, and this time Madueke with his right foot low into the bottom left-hand corner, and he restores our 2-goal cushion. It is 3-1. Well, City now have got less than 5 minutes to try and see if they can find 2 goals here, and they're looking for it. But it's well headed away by Reece James. Mudryk on as a sub. Can only head it to Walker. Lavia also on as a sub and does a brilliant job. Exactly what I want him to do in that central defensive midfield role. And he releases Maatsen down this left-hand side. And are we going to try and see if we can get a fourth here? Maatsen continues his run. What options does he have? I'm going to try and cut this one back to Mudryk. He's going to take it on his right. That is brilliant. Well, look how much it means to that man. He is really struggling for form. And if anyone needed a goal, it is him. Perhaps this is arguably the best goal of the lot from the edge of the box. A beautiful curved finish past Ederson. And he celebrates wildly, and rightly so. It is 4-1 at Stamford Bridge. The Chelsea fans in full voice at full time here. I shake the hand of Pep Guardiola. I am absolutely delighted with everyone's performance. Look how happy I am. It was Madueke though who will steal the headlines, as his 2 goals were the huge difference here today. As at full time it finishes here, Chelsea 4, City 1. Well, it was the perfect result and the perfect way to finish what has been a roller coaster of an episode. It was a game that now sees us climb up to 4th place in the table, into the final Champions League spot, surpassing Manchester City in 6th. And with morale starting to improve, could this be the real shot in the arm that my team needs? It's a team that is still struggling for goals, and one that still does need your help to see where you would want to improve it. But it's one that, with the right additions at the right price in the January transfer window, could well take this squad to the next level, and perhaps even fight for the title this season. But that is it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Last episode we found the next Raheem Sterling, who put in a fine performance on his Chelsea debut. We smashed 4 past Man City. We're back in the Champions League fight, and with the January transfer window around the corner, it's an exciting time to be a Chelsea fan. As ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. Now, I mentioned before that Arthur Ryan had a fantastic start to life in Chelsea colours, but with him only being 17 years of age, 63 rated, and despite him having the potential to be something special, I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to displace the likes of Madueke, the 22-year-old Mudryk, or our new signing Jadon Sancho from either the left or the right-hand side of midfield. So with that in mind, I have decided to add him to the loan list. I am hoping that another club will swoop in for him, so at least to give him some first-team exposure for the second half of the season. But with West Brom coming in with a 2-year loan offer for him, it's too good of an offer for me to turn down. And who knows, if he can establish himself as a first-teamer for the Championship club in those 2 years, he may well be able to force his way back into our starting 11 on his return. However, just as he decides to depart the club, we're then hit with some really disappointing news. As Noni Madueke, the man who's really starting to show some great potential this season, having gone up to 79 rated, has gone and broken his rib in training, and it means he will now be out for the foreseeable future, for 3 months to be more precise. I'm sure Sterling will be pretty happy, as it's one less man to try and compete with on the right hand side. But with the likes of Cole Palmer out on loan at Sheffield United and Hakim Ziyech also out on loan to Galatasaray, it doesn't exactly leave us with many options in this man's absence. However, with just over a month remaining until the start of the January transfer window, unfortunately we're just going to have to grin and bear it for the remainder of December. And as we head on over to Old Trafford to face off against Manchester United, I am sure they're going to be desperate to add to our woes. However, one man who I'm sure will be desperate to put in a good performance today will be that of Jadon Sancho. It's the opportunity to show the Manchester Giants that it was the wrong decision to let him go, and today is the day he gets the opportunity to prove the doubters wrong. And it is that man Sancho will pick the ball up in the centre of the park here and just weaves past one United challenge and plays it into Caicedo. And Nkunku was looking for a return ball, but in the end it went to Conor Gallagher, who got his pass all wrong. Alasia to bring it out of defence for Manchester United. He's been chased down by Caicedo, but skips away from him into Donny van der Beek now, who's got the pace to drive away from Fofana and into the penalty box here. Surely he's going to look for an option. He does. This time it's Badiashile who heads it away into Conor Gallagher. It's our chance to try and hit them on the counter-attack. Sancho looked for the run of Nkunku. Couldn't find it though, gave it away cheaply, and now United have it on the right hand side with Anthony and Wan-Bissaka. Bissaka to bring it forward into the path of Anthony. Anthony well challenged by Badiashile yet again. And yet again we have an opportunity to try and break. And it's Jadon Sancho here. I'm going to try and feed in Nkunku. I do feed in Nkunku. Nkunku into the box here. Nkunku puts us 1-0 up. Well, he'll get the plaudits after a sensational finish, but it's the man behind him, Jadon Sancho, who did all the hard work. A lovely bit of skill and a lovely run and pass into the path of Christopher Nkunku. And of course, when he gets that much time and space, he will make United pay just as he did. And it's 1-0 Chelsea. Anthony takes the free kick short to Correa. Nice ball into Bruno Fernandes, and Rashford manages to drive into the box here. Oh my word, brilliant goalkeeping from Diogo Costa to come out and block that one. Sunset's come deep, finds Sterling, who finds himself on the right hand side and run into trouble here. And United are pressing us high, and we are falling foul to that very press. And it's now Donny van de Beek, lovely stuff, Correa. United back on level terms. Well, we've completely switched off since we scored the goal, and United just tore us apart. Acres of space for Correa inside my penalty area, and he was able just to slip it past Diogo Costa, who could do nothing about it. United 1, Chelsea 1. Chilwell will look inside to Caicedo. Lovely return ball back into Chilwell, and he drives into the box and look for the cutback to Nkunku. What a save from Onana. My word, that has kept United on level terms here at Old Trafford. Rashford for United feeds in Donny van de Beek. He's got an overlapping run of the left back, and he finds Malacia, who manages to skip past Reece James and now cuts back inside looking for Correa, the goal scorer. Donny van de Beek. United looking dangerous here with Rashford, and it's 2-1. Well, on the stroke of half-time, they've turned this game on its head, and yet again, they just passed their way through my defence. This time, it's Marcus Rashford to apply the finish, and a brilliant finish it was, and much to my disgust, United lead. It's James into Sancho, into Nkunku. Nkunku tries to go out wide to the right-hand side to Sanson, who's been pretty quiet so far, but he's going to try and go to the back post to Sancho, and Sancho, oh, he's offside. Well, he went to the back post. It was a brilliant cross. And my word, look at how close he was. He was just offside by a matter of inches. Well, into Caicedo. I'm going to try and feed this way all the way across to the right-hand side to Reece James. Lovely pass. Now Sterling, who's come in field. He finds Nkunku, and Nkunku's going to try and play this into Sunset. Brilliant defending by the United centre-back. Varane being chased down by Nkunku. Oh, he's got the calmness and the composure to get away from 3 Chelsea players. That is magnificent defending. Into Rashford. Rashford holds up Conor Gallagher and eventually releases the ball down to Wan-Bissaka, who just knocks it past Ben Chilwell. He's got the beating of him for pace. Cuts back to Anthony. Nice play for United here. They're just carving us apart. Now it's Rashford again on the edge of the box. Well done. Well intercepted and blocked by Conor Gallagher. And now he can try and hit them on the counter-attack. Sunset, I was trying to release Nkunku. It was so poor, and that's been the story of our game, as Anthony is being chased down by Fofana. Great defending. We needed that block, and he put the block in. Sancho into Nkunku. Nkunku, I was trying to release Ben Chilwell, and eventually I do manage to get it to Ben Chilwell, and he will now try and drive down the left-hand side. Tries to go past Varane. Does go past Varane. Into the box. Cuts it back in, looking for Nkunku. Oh, it was smashed against the defender, and somehow we didn't manage to find the back of the net. Bruno Fernandes, less than 10 minutes on the clock here, and this game is starting to get stretched as Anthony looks to stretch the play down the left-hand side. Ben Chilwell's absolutely knackered, so is Fofana. Correa, it's 3-1. Well, in our desperation to bring men forward, we leave ourselves open at the back. And it was brilliant play from Anthony down that right-hand side. And a wonderful finish from Correa. Beat 2 challenges and then smashed it into the bottom left-hand corner, giving the goalkeeper no chance. And surely now, United have sealed 3 points. 3-1. And it's that man Correa again who skips past the challenge this time with Badiashile into the box, into the path of Bruno Fernandes. And they've completely ripped us apart. Well, our heads have dropped, and my word, United have got their tails up, and they have absolutely torn us to shreds. In the penalty area again, this time it was Bruno Fernandes, and an absolute smasher of a strike. And from that distance, the keeper had no chance. Frustratingly, it's 4-1. Malo Gusto trying to sweep past the United defence, and he finds Christopher Nkunku into the box, and Nkunku, it's 4-2. While in stoppage time, Christopher Nkunku pops up again with his second goal and our second goal. But frustratingly for us, it's too little too late. Nice play from Gusto down the right-hand side, and of course Christopher Nkunku, when he's in a dangerous area, he is a very dangerous man. It's a brilliant finish, but nothing less than I would have expected from the Frenchman. And whilst he's delighted, unfortunately, it's only going to be a consolation for us, as after a positive start, it will be Manchester United who will seal the victory and seal the 3 points here. Really disappointing display, as at full time here at Old Trafford it finishes United 4, Chelsea 2. Now, one serious positive we can take from that game was another 2 goals from Christopher Nkunku. It's now 13 in all competitions in 15 Premier League games and an overall rating in the Premier League of 7.81, and he is by far and away the standout player for us this season. However, with the loss of Noni Madueke on the right hand side, with him and Sunset both tied as our second and third highest goal scorers and assist makers, and just the real lack of depth and options on the bench in his absence shows that this team still has a lot of work to do if we want to achieve our goals this season. And while somehow we still sit in 4th place in the Premier League, just 5 points off league leaders Spurs, it is those big games against the likes of Spurs and Manchester United where we just seem to be falling short. But with only a handful of games remaining until the start of the January transfer window and just £39 million to spend, it's time to see if we can get ourselves back on track with an away game at Goodison Park against Everton. Unfortunately enough, even with a heavily rotated squad, we do manage to get back to winning ways, courtesy of an early goal from Nicholas Jackson, which secures a 1-0 win for us. And while Sterling will be frustrated in the next game against Sheffield United that he was unable to secure a hat-trick having missed a penalty in the 84th minute, his 2 goals, plus an early goal from Sunset, was enough to secure another 3 points for us as we beat them 3-0 at home. And so much to my surprise, despite me being concerned about the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Noni Madueke both being out for the long term, those back-to-back wins have kept us in 4th place, but they have managed to establish a 6-point lead ahead of 5th place Manchester United and now clawed us to within 2 points of Liverpool, who top the table. Perhaps this team has slightly more strength in depth than I'm giving it credit for. And as we've been drawn against Brentford in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup, that strength in depth is just about to be tested. Numerous changes to my starting 11, despite the likes of Costa and Reece James keeping their places in defence. Disasi, Levi Colwell and Maatsen also start. Hugo Chukwu partners Lavia in the centre of the park, with the likes of Sterling, Broja and Mudryk starting behind Nicholas Jackson up front. Wissa down the left-hand side manages to get the better of Reece James, but this time it's Disasi who comes across. Brilliant defending from the young man, and he releases Sterling on the right-hand side. He's got an overlapping run of Reece James, and he finds that overlapping run. And look at the pace of Reece James now. He's got green grass to run into here. He's fighting against the left-back. Instead, he manages to cut it back into the path of Raheem Sterling. He finds Broja. Broja into Hugo Chukwu, who strikes. Blazes it over the bar. Reece James into Jackson. Jackson into Sterling. Sterling's managed to remain on side here. And he's going to try and cut this back into Jackson again. Lovely save from the goalkeeper. Buemo for Brentford. He drives down the right-hand side here, being chased down by Levi Colwell, and this time it's Disasi who comes across to cover again. Great defending once again from Chelsea. Wissa for Brentford, a lovely pass into the path of the left-back Marasuch, and he now going to be Marusic with the throw for Brentford. Looks like he's going to throw this one long. He does throw it long. It's headed away by Disasi, who's been a rock at the back for us so far in this game. Broja's come deep. He's a man who hasn't really featured too much for us this season. He fires a wonderful pass into Mudryk. Nicholas Jackson, he releases Maatsen. Maatsen releases Mudryk, who's managed to stay on side. No, he hasn't. It's a Mudryk. Mudryk into Broja, twisting, turning away from the Brentford defence. Runs into trouble though, and they can try and now hit us on the counter-attack, but they get it all wrong, and Levi Colwell can try and bring this one out of defence. Finds Mudryk. He turns, tried to find the overlapping run of Maatsen, couldn't find him, and now Brentford can go again. End-to-end stuff here at the Community Stadium, and it's thrown back in here into the path of De Silva. He's got options in the box. Can he find any? No, this time it's Reece James with a wonderful challenge. Well, it's 0-0 here as we start the second half. I'm sure both teams will be eager to try and break the deadlock here, as neither team will want to go to penalties, the lottery of penalties. And we've got to hope that we are the lucky team that are able to do that. Broja to bring it forward into Mudryk. Nice early stuff here into Nicholas Jackson. He takes it on. It's come out and it's well saved by the goalkeeper, but Sterling is there with his left foot to power it into the bottom right-hand corner, and he celebrates wildly as he gives us that precious 1-0 lead. Well, it was brilliant play in the opening 5 minutes, and I thought the chance was gone, but Sterling was the quickest to react, and on his weaker foot, found the corner brilliantly, gave the keeper no chance to react and try and get back into position. It was a wonderful finish and a wonderful way to get us in the lead here. Out to Reece James. Reece James is surely going to try and find an option in the box here, but doesn't really have too many that he can fire it into. Instead finds Broja, who shifts it onto his right. It's blocked. Well blocked by the defence. Fired over the top into the path of Mbeumo. And he's got the beating of Maatsen here, but Maatsen with a brilliant piece of defending to get the ball clear into the path of Mudryk. Now we can try and hit Brentford on the counter-attack. Sterling looks for Nicholas Jackson, finds Nicholas Jackson. He releases Reece James here, and Reece James has got space and pace to run into. It's back in the box for Sterling. Oh my word, I thought it was going to be a wonderful end to a wonderful counter-attack. Sterling will take the resulting corner though, fires it in looking for the head of Reece James. Headed away well, only out as far as Levi Colwell. Disasi to line up a shot, blocked. It will be another corner, and it's a corner that Raheem Sterling is of course going to step up and take once again. Fired into the box again, looking for Reece James just over his head. Cleared away by the Brentford defence. defence. And it's De Silva now to try and bring this one away. Has he got the pace to burst away from Levi Colwell? He does. And he continues down the left-hand side, but he looks absolutely shattered. And it's brilliant recovery defending from the young Englishman. And now, look at him drive forward into the path of Nicholas Jackson. Both teams looking to try and get a goal here. He's taken out from behind. It's a horrendous challenge, and the referee only issues a yellow card. He can count himself a lucky man. Well, let's have a look at the replay. Made no attempt to get the ball. Took him out from behind. How on earth has he escaped a red card? Levi Colwell again to bring this one out of defence. Nicholas Jackson, lovely stuff into Sterling. Across into Mudryk. And Mudryk puts the icing on the cake here for Chelsea. A wonderful piece of play and a wonderful goal by the Ukrainian. He will be desperate to get on the score sheet and he will be absolutely delighted. Look at the celebrations. We will be sailing through to the next round of the Carabao Cup and our chances of silverware this season continue to march on. Look at the build-up. Lovely one-touch play from Nicholas Jackson into Sterling, into Mudryk, and he couldn't miss from that angle. Fabulous stuff. It's 2-0 here at the GTEC Stadium. Lavia feeds in Nicholas Jackson, and Nicholas Jackson's still running. He's still running the channels here, and he finds Lavia again, the central defensive midfielder. I'm going to try and fire this into the back post. Doesn't manage to reach the back post. It was well defended in the end by the Brentford defenders, as they just about managed to get it away as the referee blows for full time. Well, that is a result I will be absolutely delighted with. A huge weight off my shoulders as we sail through to the next round of a cup competition. And it's a cup competition that surely we are now going to be heavy favourites to win. Full time here in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Brentford 0, Chelsea 2. And you can see the smile on my face as I'm greeted by the reporters. I thought we absolutely controlled the game. For me, it was one of our best performances. And the belief in the dressing room at the moment is absolutely fabulous. And I'm confident now more than ever we can go one step further and win the whole thing. And whilst I've spoken about the disappointment of losing this man to a long-term injury, there will be no one more delighted in the Chelsea squad than this man, Mudryk, finally getting on the score sheet. And I'm sure he will be absolutely desperate to step up and prove his worth in Madueke's absence. And with us managing to avoid the likes of Newcastle and Manchester City in the semi-final, we will play Wolves in a game that I am pretty confident we should be able to get through. However, with only a handful of games remaining until the start of the January transfer window, it's time to return our focus back to the Premier League. And we do so with perhaps a slight preview of that Carabao Cup semi-final, but this time we are left frustrated as a late goal from Hee Chan means that we only are able to secure a point as we draw 1-1. We bounce back though with a fabulous performance against Crystal Palace, securing a 4-1 battering of them at Stamford Bridge. And we round off 2023 with another 4-1 battering, this time away from home against Luton Town. And after being able to extend our unbeaten run, those results have unbelievably lifted us up to first place in the Premier League table at the very end of 2023. My word, what a way to end a rollercoaster of a year. And as you can see from that goals against column, it is a position that is built on defensive solidity, which makes it no surprise to see that our new goalkeeping signing, Diogo Costa, has absolutely hit the ground running. 9 clean sheets in 20 games, and he is the clean sheet leader so far in the Premier League. And with both he and Oyan Sanset proving to be a pair of hits in the transfer market this season, with that man Oyan Sanset securing 6 goals and 5 assists to be our second highest goal scorer and our top assist maker so far this season, it seems like our recruitment this summer was absolutely sensational. Speaking of recruitment though, the January transfer window is now officially open. And whilst initially I was thinking about potentially bringing in a replacement for this man, Noni Madueke, on the right hand side, with him only now having 2 months remaining on his injury, and with the likes of Mudryk starting to step up in reserve, I'm not quite sure whether or not I need to bring in another winger to the club. However, speaking of injuries, with Enzo Fernandez still being out for the next 6 weeks with an ACL, and his rating dropping by 1 point to 82, it's highly unlikely that he's going to come back fighting fit in the foreseeable future. And looking at my starting 11, perhaps it could be argued that central midfield is the weakest part of my team, in particular Conor Gallagher being the only man in the starting 11 who isn't at least an 80 rated. And with only the likes of Hugo Chukwu and Romeo Lavia on the bench, both who are 74 and 75 rated respectively, it doesn't exactly look like a position that we're particularly blessed with outstanding players. However, with only £39 million to spend, it is highly unlikely that I'm going to be able to go and bring in a world-class central midfielder this window. So So instead, with all the injuries and fatigue we've had this season, I think I'm going to turn my attention to an affordable man who could offer us a great deal of versatility across our team. And that just so happens to be a man who has racked up over 120 appearances in the Bundesliga, over 30 appearances for his national team, and someone who can play both in central midfield, central attacking midfield, and even up front. It's another young player who I'm sure will be desperate to ply his trade in the Premier League as we welcome the Austrian Christoph Baumgartner to Chelsea Football Club for £30 million. It's a signing that's pretty much wiped out the remainder of our transfer budget, but it's one that I am incredibly excited about. With him only being 24 years of age and already 80 rated, he has that something special and he has the potential to grow and develop into an absolute superstar. We've slightly struggled only having Oyhan Sanset as the singular man who can play in the central attacking midfield position, so it is a role that this man should be able to fill when he needs to. However, with me wanting to see him play more in the centre of midfield instead, I'm going to change his development plan to be focused on a central midfielder, as he will come straight into the starting 11 to replace Conor Gallagher at the heart of my midfield. And he is about to be thrown straight into the deep end as we prepare for a first leg tie at Stamford Bridge against Wolves in the Carabao Cup semi-final. It's a game that I am pumped for, and it's a game that I'm keen to rally the troops in front of the media for. We're going into the game with the right attitude, and I'm confident we've got the players to get the right result today. And it's a confidence that seems to be flooding through the fans as well as they enter Stamford Bridge in high hopes that we can finally achieve domestic glory this season and win our first trophy of our new career mode. And it is Baumgartner with his first touch in a Chelsea shirt, and with his first touch he lays a wonderful ball into the path of Sterling, who skips around the challenge of two Wolves defenders and continues his run down the right hand side. He hasn't really got many options, so instead has to cut back in and ends up giving the ball away really cheaply. Sanchez for Wolves, being chased down by Sanset, but goes down the left hand side to Berenger into Cunha, and Cunha now drives past Reece James. Nice stuff down this left hand side. He's looking for options but can't seem to find any either, and Reece James is able to come across and put in a fabulous challenge. Sterling now picks it up, plays it into Sanset. Sanset is going to surely try and release Nkunku over the top. Tries to find Nkunku. He's tussling with the defender, but the defender wins out in the end. Cunha for Fulham. Nice reverse pass into Gomez. Out wide to Berenger on the left-hand side. This is really well worked by Wolves, and it's well shot. Diogo Costa with the save, but he gets the follow-up and another save. It's going to be a corner that Sarabia is going to take. He's going to throw it into the box, looking for the head of Berenger. Another big save from the goalkeeper. Sarabia with his second corner for Wolves. They've started off this opening 15-20 minutes on fire here. Out of the two teams, they seem like they're more likely to score as they still play it around on the edge of our box. Nice stuff into Bellegarde. This time it's Sancho coming back to defend. Well done, and Baumgartner with a lovely piece of play to beat the Wolves press. And can he try and release the ball? I was looking for the overlapping run of Reece James, couldn't find it. Wolves go again. Gomez into the path of Berenger. Yet again he drives into the box. This time it's Caicedo with a horrendous challenge. And surely the referee has no choice but to give a penalty. Caicedo can't believe it, but he can have absolutely no arguments. He completely missed the ball, took the player out, and much to my frustration, Wolves have a way to take the lead. And it's going to be Cunha who's going to step up to take here. I'm going to dive to the bottom left-hand corner, and Diogo Costa saves. Fofana comes across, hacks it clear, and we remain on level terms at Stamford Bridge. Berenger with the throw, throws it long into the box. Cunha has it. Wolves are desperate now to try and get into the lead even more, but Baumgartner on his debut with a fabulous challenge, and he can try and release the ball into the path of Sanset, but instead he goes himself, and he just keeps going. He's like a battering ram trying to get through. Made the wrong decision in the end not to pass it earlier, and Wolves continue to bring the ball forward. It's Cunha. He goes back to Doyle. Doyle back into Cunha. Cunha reverse pass into Caicedo, and Caicedo challenged well, but the Wolves press. They're just relentless here. We can't seem to get out of our own half. Reece James into Sanset. Sanset tried to play it to Sterling. It was a poor first time pass, and Wolves go again. Out to Berenger on the left-hand side, knocks it past Reece James like he's not even there and drives into the box again. He's been a danger man. Cunha, what a strike and what a save. Well, how on earth are we still at 0-0 here? Wolves, surely they could be 2 or 3 up right now. I cannot believe they will be absolutely devastated if they do not try and at least take the lead before half-time. And now they go back to Sarabia. Sarabia's blocked off, but not that far. They keep it alive. Chilwell gets all mixed up and eventually just about manages to get it clear. And now I'm going to try and just hit the accelerate button, and he just tries too hard, and in the end just knocks it out of play. Doherty into Sarabia. Sarabia surely is going to try and go down this left-hand side past Badiashile. He can't go past Badiashile though. That man has been an absolute rock at the back since coming in and starting for us. It's been a fabulous season for the Frenchman. Baumgartner into Caicedo. Caicedo into Sancho. Sancho's going to look for the overlapping run of Chilwell. Does find Chilwell. Chilwell goes back in for Nkunku. And Nkunku tried to find Sunset. Couldn't. Can Caicedo get there? No, he can't. Wolves can go again. They're starting off this second half just as they finish the first. Gomez into Doyle. Goes out wide to the left-hand side to Berenger. He's got the pace to try and go past Reece James. Well defended from the Chelsea man. Wolves have it again, though. They're pressing high. We can't get out of our own half here. Cunha strikes from distance. It's easy for Diogo Costa this time, though. Reece James into Sterling. Sterling twisting, turning, not twisting enough though. Wolves go again and Badiashile like a rock is there in the right place at the right time. Jadon Sancho into Nkunku. It's so congested in the heart of the midfield here as Wolves again manage to get the ball off of us. We just cannot seem to string enough decent passes together as Sanchez now down the left-hand side being chased down by Fofana, and Fofana with a great challenge to win the ball back. Defensively, we've been fantastic, but going forward, we haven't. But just as I say that, we go and give the ball away in a really dangerous position. Cunha tries to find a ball into Bellegarde, and surely this time Costa with another huge save. Well, we're going to make two changes here, and one of them's going to be Conor Gallagher coming on. Baumgartner still trying to adjust to the pace of English football. He's absolutely knackered, and he goes off on the 65th minute mark. And it's going to be Sarabia who's going to take this corner for Wolves, fires it into the near post, headed away by Chilwell. Only out as far as Sarabia again, though, who has the opportunity to fire it back into the box. It's now Lamina into Berenger. Lovely stuff over the bar from Bellegarde. Chilwell into Mudryk, who's also come on as a sub. He feeds in Nkunku, and Nkunku manages to win it and gives it back to Mudryk. Mudryk now to try and drive into the penalty area. He's being held up by the Wolves defence, and he isn't able to get in there. Wolves going forward and defensively have been fantastic today. Cunha. Lovely pass into Berenger. Wolves have got about 4-on-3 here. We are completely overloaded, but it's great defending from Reece James. He plays it into Nkunku. A reverse pass round the corner into Sterling. And now look, Sterling has the time and space to run into the box here. Sterling to strike. Oh, he put it wide. Nkunku again. The table's beginning to turn here as we finally start to get momentum swinging back in our direction. Conor Gallagher, though, can't play a ball out wide to Reece James. And just as I say, we're getting momentum back. Wolves now try and hit us on the counter-attack. Cunha's got the better of Fofana, but he doesn't have any options, but he does have the pace to get away from the young Frenchman. Instead, he just holds up the ball and now tries to drive into the penalty area. Reece James, has he given away a penalty? No, it will just be a corner. And it's a corner that Kalasic is going to take. He's going to try an in-swinger with his right foot. He does try an in-swinger. It's headed away by Mudryk, only out as far as Hwang. Hwang, though, is beaten to it by Conor Gallagher, who heads it clear. Lamina into Hwang again. Wolves still in the ascendancy, but they give it away. Mudryk, though, was taken out. The referee plays advantage, and now Sunset surely will try and release Nkunku. Has he managed to stay offside? No, he hasn't. And that, unfortunately, was the last chance of the game. An end-to-end game that both teams looked like they were going to score. It could have been 5-5 at the end of that one, but neither team somehow was able to find the back of the net, much to the disbelief of some of my players. As at full time here, it finishes Chelsea 0, Wolves 0. And with the first leg being played at Stamford Bridge, Wolves, I'm sure, will be the happier of the two teams to take it back to the Molineux and give themselves a real fighter's chance of getting through to the final. It was an interesting start for the 24-year-old Christoph Baumgartner, only a 6.4 rating and only managed to last 65 minutes. He was absolutely shattered by the end of the game, but if he wants to be a success at the club, he's going to have to quickly get used to the rigours of English football. However, with plenty more games to come as we head into the second half of this career mode first season, that is where we are going to end today's episode. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. Last episode saw the arrival of a new £30 million star who helped us move just one game away from our first cup final of the season. But with Wolves standing in our way of our first piece of silverware, things are about to get serious in today's episode. But as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. However, we're going to be starting off this very episode with some very interesting news, as it seems like following a disappointing display against Wolves in the very last game of last episode, Jadon Sancho has walked off the pitch and left the stadium early in frustration of being taken off. Now, the situation with Jadon Sancho is kind of an interesting one. I brought him to the club for quite a high fee of over £40 million in a bid to try and resurrect his career from Manchester United. And whilst his rating has now gone up to 84, making him one of the best players in the team, his performances aren't quite reflecting that high rating. With only 2 goals and 3 assists in 18 appearances in all competitions, he hasn't exactly hit the ground running like I was hoping him to. The problem is, with the likes of Noni Madueke out injured, the experienced Hakim Ziyech out on loan at Galatasaray, and my decision to send the likes of Cole Palmer and Arthur Ryan both out on loan, we don't exactly have a lot of competition to try and replace him with, as Mudryk and Raheem Sterling are the only other two fit and remaining wingers at the club. Now, I still do want to give the young man a chance in my starting 11, because as you can see, he is one of my highest rated players and certainly the highest rated left winger I've got at the club, but I'm just not quite sure right now how to get the best out of the young Englishman. How would you do it? Let me know down in the comments below. Speaking of new arrivals though, one other new man to join the club very recently was that of Christoph Baumgartner, only joining at the back end of last episode for £30 million and only making his debut in that very first leg against Wolves in the Carabao Cup. And whilst I was relatively happy with his performance, I did have to end up subbing him off on the 65th minute because he was absolutely knackered and clearly not quite acclimatised to the rigours of English football just yet. But as I begin to entertain the media and try and issue a rallying call to the rest of my squad in an attempt to try and boost morale ahead of what is potentially going to be our biggest game of the season so far, he is going to have to learn to acclimatise sooner rather than later as we head to Wolves, to the Molineux Stadium to face off for our second leg tie in the Carabao Cup semi-final, to try and book a place in a final for the first time this season. And we kick this game off with the game starting at 0-0. Both teams will be desperate to get an early goal here to try and settle the nerves. We've got to hope that we are going to be the team to be able to do so. That is Chile. And straight away, he gives the ball away. Wolves were the better team in the first leg at Stamford Bridge, and it looks like they're about to start the second leg exactly the same. But Badia Chile makes up for his mistake and wins the ball back well. And it's that man, Baumgartner, who will pick up the ball and now try and drive through the heart of the Wolves midfield. And it's a fabulous run here into the path of Raheem Sterling. Sterling looks for Sancho, who's come into the centre of the park, and he twists around to the defence really well. Into Sanset. Sanset skips away, and Sanset fires it into the bottom left-hand corner. Well, what a fabulous goal from the Spaniard, and what a fabulous piece of build-up play from the rest of the Chelsea players. We went from one end to the other, and it all started from the run and the pass of Baumgartner, but it was the other new signing, Oyhan Sanset, who applied a fabulous finish and a wonderful finishing touch to give us a 1-0 lead. That is Chile, all the way out to Chilwell on the left-hand side. He's found Sancho. Sancho back to Chilwell. Has he stayed on side? Yes, he has. Cuts it back into Nkunku. Oh, he's hit the bar. How on earth did he miss that? Sterling still tussling. He keeps the ball alive. Into Sanset, the goal scorer. He fires it against the defender. How on earth have we not made this 2-0? I will never know. Reece James, though, back out into Sterling for a third attempt, and Sanset cleared off the line. Unbelievable stuff here at the Molineux. That is Chile, all the way out to Ben Chilwell. This has been a much better start here and a much better game from Chelsea than it was in the first leg. Sanset, I'm going to try and see if I can release Reece James. No, I can't. It was well intercepted by Berenger, and now Wolves can try and hit us on the counter-attack. Out to Cunha, the danger man from the first leg. Has he got the beating of Fofana for pace? No, he doesn't. Fofana does a really good job of holding him up, and that is fabulous defending from the Frenchman until he then goes and gives the ball away after some brilliant work. Berenger to bring it forward again on the left-hand side. He's going to look for the overlapping run, instead cuts in for Doyle. Fofana tries to make up for his mistake. Instead, he gives the ball away again, and eventually he just about manages to head it clear. Manu Kone for Wolves. Twisting, turning. Sarabia now challenged well by Ben Chilwell, and he releases Nkunku, and Nkunku to try and drive through a congested midfield. Instead manages to find Reece James on the right-hand side. He finds Baumgartner. Baumgartner back to Reece James, and Reece James has got space to run into here. I'm going to try and cut this one back into the path of Raheem Sterling. Well challenged by the defender. Baumgartner into Chilwell. Relentless pressing from both teams here. It's been a brilliant first half. Sancho tried the reverse ball round the corner. Couldn't quite find his man. Can he win the ball back? Yes, he can, but he ends up giving a free kick away in the process. Well, as you can see, it is 1-0 on aggregate here. 1-0 in this game, and we are 45 minutes away from securing our place in the Carabao Cup final. Fofana being chased and hassled by the Wolves press, but he's done a really good job of wriggling away from it. And now Raheem Sterling to drive down the right-hand side. I'm going to cut this one back into Reece James. Reece James into Baumgartner. Baumgartner looking for an option, finds Caicedo. Caicedo has space, lines up a shot, smashes it straight at Bentley. It was an easy one for the goalkeeper, but he palmed it away into a dangerous area. Back to Caicedo, strikes again and strikes it straight at the goalkeeper for a second time. That is Chile, right over the top into the path of Ben Chilwell. It was a really good ball, and Ben Chilwell makes a complete mess of that one. And now Sarabia can burst forward for Wolves. In the end goes back to Doherty, and the momentum has lost out of the attack, but Cunha now has it, and Cunha drives past Fofana. Brilliant piece of attacking play from him. Oh, Reece James with a fabulous diving challenge to stop Cunha from going one-on-one with my goalkeeper, but frustratingly for us, Wolves still have it. Well defended though in the end by Caicedo, when we get away with one there. Sancho to bring it forward and to burst into the heart of the midfield here. I was hoping he would leave the Molineux in a better mood than he left Stamford Bridge last time out, but instead he's going to give him the ball away, and that will be frustration not only to him, for the rest of the Chelsea fans, as Wolves are in with Cunha, and they are into the back of the net, and they are back on level terms here at the Molineux. Well, it all came from a Sancho mistake, but then the rest of my defence fell asleep, and Wolves have been asking questions for us all across the second half, and this time it was Cunha who asked a question that we just were unable to answer. Wolves back on level terms, 1-1. Well, there is about 15 minutes remaining here for one of these two teams to try and break the deadlock, and we just have to hope that it is us here as Sancho bursts down the left-hand side into the box, into Christopher Nkunku, off the post, he's at the bar, now the post, that man just cannot score when I need him to. Reece James to try and bring this one out of defence. It's a bursting run through the right-hand side into the centre of the park, into Sunset. He finds Sancho. Sancho's come in field and he's going to look out wide to Ben Chilwell. A lovely pass. Ben Chilwell now is going to try and find the back post. He tries to find Sunset. It was a good ball, but a better header away from the Wolves defence. And with the referee calling time on an end-to-end affair here, it is 1-1 here, and it means that we are going to penalties in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Well, it's a lottery, and a lottery I did not want to partake in, but first of all, it's first blood to Chelsea, as it's a wonderful save from Costa. This time it's Sancho who's going to try and step up, sends the keeper the wrong way. It is 1-0 to Chelsea, and that is exactly how I would have wanted to start this penalty shootout. Sarabia sends me the wrong way, and Wolves get on the score sheet. This time it's going to be Sterling to step up and take. I'm going to try and go to the top left-hand corner, and it's too accurate for the goalkeeper. A fabulous penalty from the Englishman. This time it's Berenger who's going to step up. He sends me the wrong way again. Wolves back on level terms. It is Sunset now, the Spaniard who scored earlier. Can he score again? No, he can't. It's a brilliant save from the Wolves goalkeeper, and if Kone can score here for them, which he does, he gets them back on level terms, and Wolves now are in the ascendancy. It is now Christopher Nkunku, the man who couldn't score earlier on in the game, goes straight down the middle. 3-3, and now we come to sudden death. Doyle to step up for Wolves here, sends me the wrong way again, and now it is all down to the penalty of the new man, Christoph Baumgartner, in only his second game in a Chelsea shirt. Can he step up, send the goalkeeper the wrong way, and hopefully send us into the next round? He does do that, but doesn't send us into the next round because Wolves still have something to play for here. Bellegarde goes again and scores. Now it is up to Reece James, the Chelsea captain in real life, to step up and try and get us back on level terms. He strikes and he puts it into the top right-hand corner. Fabulous penalty, and this is going right down to the wire. Doherty to step up. He spins me the wrong way, and I just cannot seem to save a penalty, not for love nor money. Caicedo, the central defensive midfielder, I'm going to try and go down the middle. I do go down the middle. The goalkeeper goes to the right, and we continue this penalty shootout. It is now Sanchez who's going to go. He sends me the wrong way again. I just can't seem to get my guesses right this time. Ben Chilwell to step up now. I'm going to try and go to the left-hand side, the bottom left-hand side. Keeper goes the wrong way. We continue. It is 7-7 here. This is unbelievable stuff. What tension here in the Carabao Cup final as Costa saves. He makes a bit of a meal of it. And now it is my central defender, Fofana, who is going to step up here. I'm going to try and go straight down the middle. Will the goalkeeper dive? I hope he does. He does. And it is Fofana, the Frenchman, who will run and celebrate with the rest of the Chelsea players. He is the man that sends us through to the Carabao Cup final, our first final of this career mode, and he gives us a wonderful opportunity to secure silverware for the first time in my Chelsea managerial career. And as you can see, I am beaming from ear to ear, absolutely delighted. It was a hard-fought game over the two legs. It was an incredibly tight game, and it took penalties in the end to try and separate us. But to be honest, I think we held our nerve when it went through to the penalty shootout, but I do not want to celebrate too early, as we now have to turn our attention to the final. And as we just managed to get over that astonishing drama that was an intense penalty shootout, our excitement turns to intrigue, as after beating Newcastle 3-1 on aggregate, we will be facing the reigning Premier League champions Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final. But our intrigue then soon turns to despair, as after rotating heavily and perhaps taking the FA Cup for granted after our Carabao Cup success, We are then knocked out of the 4th round at home against our London rivals Brentford in a really disappointing way to exit the FA Cup. And with the board having high expectation for us to win the FA Cup this season, it puts even more pressure on my shoulders to make sure we get the job done in the Carabao Cup. However, despite that disappointment, there is some sort of shred of positivity, as I have received an email from my physio to declare that Enzo Fernandez, after a horrific 5-month ACL injury, has returned to training. And whilst he's still got about 13 days until he'll be 100% fully fit and his rating has gone down by -1 to 82, he will be a huge boost for us in the run-in for the final few months of the season. However, with our attention turning back to the Premier League and with Liverpool managing to usurp us back to the top of the table, having won their game in hand, our next game is an absolutely massive one. It is a top of the table clash. It is first against second place in the Premier League as we head to Anfield to face off against Liverpool in a huge game that is going to have massive ramifications to both teams' Premier League fights. But frustratingly, I'm going to have to play this game without two of my key players, as Disasi and Conor Gallagher both return to the starting 11 in place of Baumgartner and Fofana, who unfortunately either dropped to the bench or completely out of the squad due to a huge bout of fatigue. Into Mo Salah, twisting away from Ben Chilwell really well, and Badiashile's frantically coming across to try and cover. Doesn't do a good enough job. The Egyptian goes past him. Oh my word, what a defensive clearance from Reece James, as Luis Diaz almost had an overhead kick. And I think it might have been Jota who almost got in there and scored for Liverpool as well, but we've just about managed to clear the ball. And now Sunset will release Sancho down this left-hand side. He's going to try and go one-on-one with the Liverpool defenders. Instead, he's going to try and play it into Ben Chilwell. A brilliant piece of intercepting play there from Gomez. Badiashile into Caicedo. We're trying to see if we can take control of this game here and try and get a better foothold into it. Conor Gallagher down the right-hand side. Cuts it back in, looking for the pass of Raheem Sterling, but couldn't find him. Well cleared by the Liverpool defence. Mo Salah. Short pass, well intercepted by Ben Chilwell. He read that one much better this time. And now Nkunku tries to go past Mo Salah, but it was well defended by the Egyptian. And now Liverpool can try and hit us on the counter-attack. Luis Diaz out wide to Andrew Robertson on the left-hand side. Reece James trying to come across. He sold him a dummy though, and he continues to try and drive into the centre of the park. He's well held up by Conor Gallagher though, and he shows why it was the right decision to bring him back into the starting 11. Now Sunset are going to try and release Nkunku, and I do release Nkunku. Has he got the pace to drive into the box here? He does. He tries to strike. What a save. Sterling will take the resulting corner. I'm going to fire it into the edge of the 6-yard box, and Sancho. Oh my word, what a save again. Sterling again will take the second corner though. I'm going to try the same thing this time. It was Sunset who tried to get there. Conor Gallagher headed away, a diving header from Endo in the end. Ben Chilwell picks up the scraps and feeds it across to Raheem Sterling. He finds Jadon Sancho. Sancho has the option of Sunset. Sunset with his left. What a save again. Well, how on earth have we not broken the deadlock here yet? I am not quite sure. But Sancho flies it in. This time it's headed away. Only out as far as Conor Gallagher. He's going to give this back to Jadon Sancho, and had a wonderful opportunity to try and throw the ball back into the box. But it seems like there is a Liverpool player down with an injury, and the referee has called time. But it looks like it's Luis Diaz, the man who was threatening in the early part of this game, and he's unfortunately going to come down with a serious injury. It was Sunset and Diogo Jota, his own player, who ended up sandwiching him and taking him out. And it looks like quite a serious one for the Liverpool man as Darwin Núñez comes on in his place. Sancho has it into Caicedo. Caicedo finds himself in a very advanced position for a central defensive midfielder. Ben Chilwell to fire it into the back post, and he was inches away from finding the head of Christopher Nkunku, and it was just so frustrating. Badiashile fires it over to Reece James. Neither of these two teams able to break the deadlock or find an opener in the first half. Let's see if either one of them can do it in the second. Nice pass, lovely head down to Caicedo, who is then taken out by Virgil van Dijk, I think it was. And I'm hoping this is not going to be a serious injury for my central defensive midfielder. He's still down on the floor. Surely Van Dijk, it's only a yellow card. How on earth has he got away from that one? Well, let's check out the replay here. He absolutely takes him out from behind. Klopp, well, I don't know what he's shrugging his shoulders at. For me, that was a certain red card. And I'm just happy that Caicedo was managed to get up. And he doesn't have a serious injury. Sancho is now going to try and see if he can fire this one into the box. He just feeds it in, looking for the head of Sunset, headed away by Gomez. Only out as far as Badiashile. And now Diogo Jota wins that one really high. And he's going to try and feed in Darwin Núñez. We've been caught cold here on the counter-attack. But it is Disasi, the man in place of Fofana, who comes across and shows, just like Conor Gallagher did earlier, why it was the right decision to put him in place of Fofana at the heart of my defence. Conor Gallagher, though, lovely reverse pass into Christopher Nkunku. We've kept this move alive, and Nkunku now is going to look for an option. Looks back to Conor Gallagher, and in the end it was well defended by the Liverpool defenders. Mo Salah Into McAllister, back to Mo Salah. End-to-end stuff here at Anfield. Both teams desperate to try and see if they can get a winner, as they are desperate to try and put some distance between each other in the Premier League. Darwin Núñez twisting away from my defenders. He gets into the box, cuts it back to Mo Salah, straight at the goalkeeper. Jota. Into McAllister. About 15 minutes remaining on the clock here as Badiashile wins the ball high. And Christopher Nkunku, who I've dropped into a central attacking midfield position as I've brought on Nicholas Jackson, has fed a ball out wide into Gusto. Gusto goes past the defenders and fires a good ball in, but there was no one there to meet it. Maatsen also on as a substitute. Finds Baumgartner, another substitute, and it's a brilliant sliding tackle from Konate, and he's released Mo Salah. Badiashile comes across the cover. Virgil van Dijk hustled by Mudryk, and now Mudryk finds Nicholas Jackson, gets it back. Mudryk still continues his run. Wonderful stuff from the Ukrainian. What a save. Well, that was a fabulous run and would have been the icing on the cake if he'd been able to top it off with a fabulous goal. But this time it's into the box, and it was Nkunku with a diving header and another fabulous save from Alisson. That man has kept Liverpool in this game. Unbelievable stuff from him. Conor Gallagher has it again though. Back out wide to Maatsen. I'm going to try and throw this one into the box, looking for the head of Gusto. Too high and too wide. And Liverpool escape with the ball. Gravenberch down the left-hand side. Just minutes, moments remaining in this game. We are deep into stoppage time as Jota manages to skip away from the challenge of Badiashile. Drives down the left-hand side, fires it into the box. Maatsen heads it clear. Only out as far as Mudryk, who does get there first, hacks it away as the referee blows for full time. Well, there's barely anything that can separate these two teams at the top of the Premier League, and there was nothing that could separate them here at Anfield. That man, Alisson, was absolutely sensational for the entire 90 minutes. Christopher Nkunku could not find the back of the net. He will leave Liverpool very frustrated. As at full time here, it finishes Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0. And with Alisson being the hero of the day for Liverpool, leaving us frustrated as we departed Anfield. A single point is not enough for us to overhaul Liverpool as they remain on top spot with just 1 point separating the two of us. One man who left Liverpool incredibly frustrated was that of Christopher Nkunku, and he's actually had a pretty frustrating episode overall. He is still my top goal scorer by some distance, but he hasn't really been able to find the back of the net so far this episode. And with us just being a few games away from a massive cup final against Manchester City, I've just got to hope that he finds his shooting boots sooner rather than later. Speaking of those games though, we do manage to get back to winning ways, this time against Wolves yet again, this time in the Premier League, as we managed to beat them 3-2, which also sees Baumgartner get on the score sheet for the first time in his Chelsea career. We're met with frustration though on the south side of London as Crystal Palace do enough to hold us to a 1-1 draw. And perhaps in a precursor to the upcoming Carabao Cup final, Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium go and batter us 3-1 as it's a huge 3 points dropped. And it's amazing what a few disappointing results will do, as unfortunately that has now dragged us down to third place. And we are now 6 points behind Liverpool, just in the blink of an eye, and have even been overtaken by Spurs into second place. However, it is clear that now is the time to turn our attention back to the Carabao Cup final. And ahead of that cup final, I do actually have some serious decisions to make about my starting 11. And that is because not only has Enzo Fernandez returned to full training, but he has also declared himself 100% fit and ready to play in the cup final. But with the likes of Conor Gallagher knowing that Enzo Fernandez has returned, but still hoping he's done enough to try and stay in the side, and the new signing Christoph Baumgartner doing a relatively okay job in the centre of midfield since coming to us in January. For the first time in a long time, I'm actually unsure as to what my starting 11 is going to be. And to make matters worse, with my confidence rating with the board now weak at a 63 rating, it's the first real time this season that the pressure is well and truly on my shoulders. And as the press gather for what is no doubt the biggest game in this Chelsea career mode so far, I've just got to make sure that my players keep their heads, approach the game like we do any other, and we can be calm and make sure we do the best job we can and bring home the cup. And so here we go, the moment of truth. It is Wembley Stadium. It is the Carabao Cup final against the English giant Manchester City. A game that we are underdogs in, but one that I am incredibly confident we can come out with the right result in. It's the biggest game of our season, and it's time to bring home the cup. And the biggest game of the season demands the biggest and boldest decisions of the season, and that means the Chelsea man, the man who's come through our youth academy, Conor Gallagher, takes his place in our starting 11, ahead of the likes of Baumgartner and Enzo Fernandez, who both make up the bench. I just thought it was the right thing to do, and I thought Conor Gallagher, with his experience coming through the youth academy and Chelsea coursing through his veins, would be the right man in the right occasion to hopefully lead us to glory here in the Carabao Cup final. Reece James to burst down this right-hand side, tried to play a ball into Nkunku, but it was well intercepted by the City defence. And now they're going to try and hit us on the counter-attack. They are in full voice and full spirit, having just beaten us in the Premier League as Chilwell's taken out from behind. And straight away, he's down on the floor. And within the first 5 minutes, I'm hoping and praying that there is not a serious injury for my left-back as Phil Foden is sent off in the 6th minute of the game. My word, that has completely flipped the script and turned this game on its head. Well, let's have a look at the foul. It's a horrendous challenge. Pep Guardiola's furious, but he can have no complaints. City are down to 10 men. Well, surely there is now no excuses for us. We have to go and do the business here. Otherwise, this will be a massive opportunity missed. Sancho trying to wriggle away from the challenge at the left back. Caicedo into the youth academy man, Conor Gallagher. He drives down this right-hand side and he's got the pace to accelerate away from the players, and in the end has too much pace and runs the ball out of play. Into Badiashile, nice turn, releases Ben Chilwell on the left-hand side with the -1 man here. We've got to try and make sure that we find the relevant gaps as Sterling manages to wriggle into the penalty area, plays it across. Not a good enough ball, easy for Ederson in the end. Kevin De Bruyne has it inside his own half. Rodri now, looks like De Bruyne has just come slightly deep into the centre of midfield here to try and give Manchester City numbers in midfield as Alvarez tries to skip away from the challenge of Ben Chilwell, and he does just that and now drives to the edge of the box, but Chilwell comes back across. A wonderful challenge from the Englishman, and then Conor Gallagher goes and gives it away. He is not validating my decision to play him in the starting 11 here, but he's just done enough to win the ball back, and now Sterling can escape with the ball into Christopher Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and release Reece James down the right-hand side. He's got the beating of Acuna down the right, and now he drives into the penalty area. I'm going to try and play this across into Sunset with his head. Couldn't reach it. Headed clear this time by Haaland. Goes out to Reece James again. He's been a live wire so far in this game. The Chelsea captain and another player coming through the ranks, clearly showing what it means to him. Now Sancho tried to play it across back over to Reece James. Couldn't though. It was really poor, and City now will try and break. Julian Alvarez being chased down by Caicedo. Caicedo ends up just falling on the ground in a complete heap. Conor Gallagher with a brilliant challenge though, and now he releases Sunset, who releases Sancho, and Sancho now to drive into the heart of the Manchester City penalty area across to Christopher Nkunku, who just smashes it into the back of an empty net. He celebrates wildly with the captain Reece James. A wonderful counter-attacking goal that sees us take the lead here at Wembley Stadium. A fabulous run by Sancho, and he was unselfish, just waited for the perfect opportunity to fire it across to Nkunku, and Ederson couldn't get it across quick enough. Nkunku fired it into an empty net, and just when I needed him to step up after a poor run of form, he does just that. And he gets us into the lead here in the Carabao Cup final. De Bruyne trying to burst through the heart of my midfield. He's done a really good job of skipping away from several challenges into Haaland. And Haaland is just blocked by Badiashile. What a piece of defending from him. Well, as we start the second half here, we have 45 minutes to hold on. We practically have one hand on the trophy already. Can we try and make it two? All we have to do is pretty much just see out this game and maybe hope we can perhaps add to our lead, as it looks like Caicedo is trying to do that just now. I'm going to try and fire a ball right the way over to Reece James. Not a good enough ball, and Ruben Diaz can escape with it out of the Manchester City defence. Haaland, he's dropped deep to try and get involved. He skipped past the challenge of Caicedo. Fofana, though, is there, and it's a brilliant piece of defending. And he tries to bring it out of defence, but Acuna has managed to press on and win it back for him. Haaland into De Bruyne, who's picked up a nice pocket of space. Fofana again, though, tussling with him. He's involved, but it just hasn't quite got off for him. Sunset now to try and release Nkunku. Nkunku bursts into the box, and Nkunku's going to try and hit it. It's blocked by Ruben Diaz, Chelsea corner. Conor Gallagher wins that one high. Into Sterling. Sterling into Sancho. Sancho with the return ball back to Sterling. Cuts it across for Christopher Nkunku. Well blocked by Stones. And with 65 minutes on the clock here, you can see I am about to make some changes. Sancho being one of them, but Baumgartner and Enzo Fernandez being the other, as he returns back into the Chelsea team for the first time in about 5 months, and he will be desperate to try and make an immediate impression here in the Carabao Cup final, and he almost did with a header after a Raheem Sterling cross. It will come back out to Raheem Sterling, fires it back across again, looking for Fernandez, and this time he headers it just wide. Well, there's just 15 minutes remaining on the clock here, 15 minutes for us to hold our nerve as Enzo Fernandez finds the new signing in Baumgartner. He finds Caicedo, he finds Mudryk into the box, well saved by Ederson, and it's just offside, I believe, and Manchester City get away with one there. Julian Alvarez now to try and burst past Mudryk down the left-hand side, instead cuts back in for De Bruyne, and he's just taken out by Caicedo. A brilliant piece of defending, and now Mudryk, the fresh legs, can burst forward here, and he's going to try and release Sterling. Sterling's going to try and play it into the path of Baumgartner. It was brilliantly intercepted by Acuna, because if he hadn't done that, we would have been through on goal. Maatsen, also on as a sub, finds Mudryk, and Mudryk is full of beans here. He's got so much energy, and he's got the pace to burst away from the Manchester City defence. He continues his run into the box, cuts it back. I was looking for the ball into Nkunku. Ederson read it well though. We are deep into stoppage time here. Caicedo picks up the ball. Manchester City just haven't been able to threaten us with the 10 men. And now Maatsen has it. He tries to fire a strike into the bottom left-hand corner. But Ederson saves, but it doesn't matter because the referee blows for full time. The Chelsea players have gone absolutely berserk. The celebrations can begin as Chelsea Football Club have won their first piece of silverware in this career mode. It was a hard-fought victory, one that was massively helped by going up against 10 men for pretty much about 85 minutes of this game. But I won't care, the players don't care, they celebrate wildly as they prepare to lift the Carabao Cup. It will be that man, Reece James, the Chelsea captain, the man who has come through the ranks at the club, as he will be able to lift this coveted trophy. And he does just that. Chelsea Football Club have officially been crowned Carabao Cup champions, and we have got to hope that that is the first piece of silverware of many in this career mode. And there it is, official confirmation, we are the winners of the Carabao Cup. And I think that is the perfect way to end what could be described as a perfect episode. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time for the remainder of the season and to see whether or not we can clinch Premier League glory for the first time since 2017. Last episode saw us win the Carabao Cup and lift our first piece of silverware this season, but the glory doesn't stop there, as today we are in a title fight that is going right down to the wire. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And following on from that fabulous cup win, the good news just keeps on rolling in, as not only does Enzo Fernandez believe that he's starting to get back to full fitness after being out for such a long injury, but we are greeted with more great news as our other long-term injury, Noda Madueke, has officially returned to training and will be 100% fit in a matter of a couple of weeks. And for me, that's quite an important one, as unfortunately Jadon Sancho hasn't quite hit the heights that I would have expected of him since joining the club in the summer. Only 4 goals, and whilst he does have 6 assists, only 4 of them coming in the Premier League, and he hasn't exactly set the world alight, along with the Ukrainian Mudryk, who's only managed to achieve 3 goals and 3 assists in all competitions. It seems like the return of this young man can't come soon enough. However, having failed to beat Liverpool in a huge top-of-the-table clash last episode, unfortunately we've been dragged down to 3rd place, and we now sit 6 points behind them with just 13 games remaining in the season. But after managing to secure a 3-1 away win against Brentford, but only managing to secure a point in a 1-1 draw at home to Newcastle after Sancho missed a penalty in the very first minute, Liverpool have unfortunately been able to pull out a now 8-point lead ahead of us at the top of the table. However, with Madueke now officially returning to training and fully declaring himself match fit and ready to go back into the starting 11, I am ready to throw him right back into the firing line, as he will start here at the Emirates in our game in hand in what is going to be an almighty game at the top of the table against Arsenal Football Club. Into Odegaard, he's been chased and hassled down by Caicedo, but he does manage to get away from him, and now it is Enzo Fernandez starting again in the centre of midfield, who gets done also by Odegaard. He's still got the ball here. He's almost gone past 3 of my players and ends up feeding the ball off to the former Liverpool man, Alexander-Arnold, but he is tackled by Madueke, returning to the starting 11, and now Christopher Nkunku was inches away from releasing Ben Chilwell, and that was a fabulous interception there, or we would have been in down the left-hand side. But Declan Rice now picks it up in the middle of the park, finds Saka on the right-hand side. He's being chased down yet again from Ben Chilwell. End-to-end stuff here in the opening 11 minutes, but eventually Ben Chilwell clears the pressure, and now Madueke can bring it forward. His chance to burst forward, and he finds a ball into Chilwell. He finds Nkunku. Nkunku now trying to go down the left-hand side. He's just crowded out, and in the end, it's good defending from Arsenal. Odegaard, nice ball into the path of Alexander-Arnold, and it's Caicedo who comes across well to defend. He does a really good job. Fofana, now over to Reece James, 1 touch into Raheem Sterling, and we're going to try and release Enzo Fernandez down the right hand side into Nkunku, Nkunku into Sanset in with his left, into the back of the net, 1-0 Chelsea. A devastating counter-attack, and one that the Spaniard Sanset is more than happy to apply the finishing touches to. Well, from one end of the field to the other, Fabulous play and a wonderful ball from Nkunku, and an even better finish from Sunset gave the keeper no chance, and on his weaker foot gave us a 1-0 lead at the Emirates. Nkunku holding up and come deep to try and collect the ball and get himself involved. Really good play by the Frenchman, and fires a wicked ball over to Ben Chilwell on the left hand side. He finds Madueke, who will be desperate to make an impression on his return back to the starting 11. And my word, what a run, what a ball in. No one there to answer it though. Alexander-Arnold into Gabby Jesus. Lovely turn around the corner into Jorginho. Odegaard now plays the ball over to Alexander-Arnold, who was free on the right hand side, but he was a bit slow and the momentum has just gone out of the attack here. Ben Chilwell's trying to chase him down. Zinchenko skips past my midfield, back into Gabby Jesus. What a save from Costa. Arsenal have a corner here, and since we've scored, they have looked the most likely to score out of the two teams. Sterling, though, gives away another Arsenal corner. Looks like they're going to go short once again, and they do just that. Saka trying to go past Sterling. Sterling gets the better of him yet again, though, and now he can try and drive down this left-hand side. Has he got the beating of Saliba for pace? He's just going to smash the ball ahead of him and try and run with it, and he does just that. Continues his run into the box. He's got no one in there. Ramsdale comes across, makes himself big, and Nkunku wasn't making the right angle. Enzo Fernandez with the head. It's a tame one. Easy for Ramsdale as the referee blows for half-time. Into Caicedo. I'm going to try and fire a ball right the way over to the right-hand side to Reece James. Nice ball headed down well into the path of Raheem Sterling. Enzo Fernandez back to Sterling. Lovely build-up play. Tries to cut it back across into Sunset. Oh, it's well blocked. Madueke to pick it up on the edge of the box after a Sterling corner. Back out to Sterling. He's going to throw it back in. This time looking for Sunset again, and he balloons his header over the bar. Zinchenko. Nice pass. Just cut through the lines into Saka. Gabby Jesus is surely going to look for Martinelli out wide. He does eventually find him. Martinelli, though, tries to go past Reece James. Good defending from the Chelsea man. And now we can try and bring the ball out of defence. And we have just cut through the Arsenal lines here. Wonderful stuff. Now Reece James has it on the right side. Cuts back in for Enzo Fernandez. I was trying to find a ball through to Nkunku. And it was an ambitious one, but it didn't quite meet the right target. Jorginho, former Chelsea man, into Declan Rice. They're just playing it about inside their own half here. We are pressing them, and they haven't yet been able to beat our press. But Jorginho now has it. He does eventually manage to find Gabby Jesus. He finds Martinelli, looking for an overlapping run of the left back, but instead decides to go it alone himself, and now cuts back inside. He sends Reece James all over the place, who then eventually manages to come across and put in a wonderful challenge. And now Nkunku is released, and he's just turned the defender. And Nkunku now is going to drive into the box here. He's got the beating of Saliba for pace, and Nkunku, oh, a deft finish, and he gives us a 2-0 lead. Beautifully done, and look at the celebration from him. What a fabulous goal from the Frenchman. Well, it was all about the turn and the pace and the tenacity to get away from the Arsenal defence, and Saliba just had no answers. And look at that. If you want a cool, calm and composed finish, that is exactly what you would picture in your head. Gave the keeper no chance into the bottom left-hand corner. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0. And so, after what has been an action-packed return to the starting 11, Madueke will go off, and he will be replaced by Sancho. Mudryk skipping away from several challenges and finds Nicholas Jackson. He's going to try and look for Maatsen, who's all alone on the left-hand side. Maatsen strikes. Oh, got it all wrong. Thomas Partey into the feet of Gabby Jesus. He goes out to the right-hand side to Saka, and has he got the beating of Maatsen for pace? He doesn't, but he's got the trickery beating of him, and instead it is Caicedo who comes across wonderfully to make the challenge. We bring it out of defence with Sancho as the referee blows for full time. Well, that was a hard-fought victory, but one that I am absolutely delighted about. It is exactly what the doctor ordered, and just what we needed to get ourselves back on track in the Premier League. Full time here at the Emirates, it finishes Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2. And after keeping another clean sheet against Arsenal, Diogo Costa has again established himself as the clean sheet leader in the Premier League. 11 clean sheets in 28 games and only 27 goals conceded. What a signing that man has been since joining Chelsea in the summer. And speaking of new signings, the return to the starting 11 of this man, Noni Madueke, felt like a new signing. A brilliant man to have back in my starting 11, and it was a pretty decent performance from the Englishman. And with him back, and now unfortunately Jadon Sancho having to drop to the bench with his return, it does mean that there is no room for complacency anymore for this young Englishman. And the same for Mudryk, who just has to step it up even more and try and see if he can establish himself in our starting 11 and really show the Chelsea fans that he does have that something special. And whilst that win doesn't manage to claw us above Spurs into second place, and it still leaves us just 5 points behind Liverpool, it does give us some much needed momentum heading into a game that is going to be a make or break game for our title aspirations. That is right, because as I face the media and try and rally the troops, reiterating the commitment and the desire we have and the fact that I have absolutely no doubt in my team that we can achieve our goals this season, we are heading back to Stamford Bridge to face off against our arch rivals Tottenham and our title challengers in a game that neither team can afford to lose, and if we do end up losing it, our title fight will certainly be over. Ahead of the game though, I have had to make a few changes to my usual starting 11 due to a little bit of fatigue creeping in, and that is the likes of Gusto and Maatsen coming into the starting 11 at the back, and Baumgartner replaces Enzo Fernandez in the centre of midfield. Ben Davies, a nice ball cutting through the lines into Ben Yedder. Basuma picks it up, and Basuma, the central defensive midfielder, is in the most advanced position. My word, he almost put Spurs 1-0 up inside the opening 7 minutes. Looks like Son's going to take the corner, and it looks like he's going to go short. Spurs have started off this game far better than we have. We've fallen asleep here as Kulusevski outmuscles Sterling. Now Romero has it on the box. He drives past my defence, and the centre-back smashes one into the top left-hand corner to give Spurs the lead inside 10 minutes here. What on earth is happening? We've completely fallen asleep. Two defensive players in Basuma and Romero have just waltzed past my defence. And this time it is Romero who manages to get the better of Diogo Costa, smashes it into the back of the net. Spurs take an early lead. Kulusevski for Spurs, trying to go past Badiashile, instead cuts it back. And now Ben Yedder has it. He's challenged by Fofana, and now we can try and bring the ball out of defence. Sunset being hassled and harassed, but he manages to wriggle away from two Tottenham challenges. Feeds it into Nkunku. He drops back. Lovely footwork. Tried to play it into Sunset. Does. Into Baumgartner. What a save from Vicario. Oh, we should have scored there. That was a big let off for Spurs, and we've just got to hope that that doesn't come back to bite us come the end of the game as Ben Yedder picks it up. Surely he will try and get rid of the ball. Instead he gives it to Romero. Cool, calm and collected, and Spurs get it clear. Pedro Porro, well challenged by Caicedo. And Caicedo now is going to try and feed this down the left-hand side into Madueke. Lovely stuff. Madueke now into Nkunku. Nkunku into the box with his left eye. He's put it wide. Well, how on earth did he miss that? Nkunku, the man who you would want in that position at the right time, got it all wrong. What on earth is happening today? Into Pedro Porro. Every single player, barring the Tottenham goalkeeper, is in the Chelsea half here. The Spurs look to try and add a second to try and consolidate their lead. They've managed to work it into the box. Oh my word, Ben Yedder gets it all wrong. Oh my word, I thought he was just going to creep that one over Diogo Costa, but eventually we just managed to bundle it out for a corner. Let's look at the replay here. Ben Yedder just tried to dink that over, and Diogo Costa got in all sorts of trouble. We were fortunate enough not to give away a penalty. It's a Spurs corner. And Nkunku into Sterling. Sterling now surely is going to try and find a ball forward. He does, into the path of Madueke, and he will be desperate to score against his former employers, Tottenham. What a strike, what a save. Sterling will take the resulting corner. End-to-end stuff here in the first half at Stamford Bridge, and it's cleared off the line. Brilliant save again from Vicario at half-time. Well, Spurs are going to take the kick-off here at the start of the second half. We have 45 minutes to try and get ourselves back into this game, because if we lose it, our title ambitions are well and truly over this season. Benson Core into Ben Yedder. Nice stuff into Basuma. Basuma out to an unmarked Heung-min Son. He cuts back inside. Nice turning. And he still manages to drive past my defence. What on earth are we doing? We're completely asleep. He fires it into the back post. And it's an easy one in the end for Costa to hold on to. Spurs have a free kick here, which Heung-min Son is going to take, and it's in a very dangerous position. He throws it to the edge of the box. Benson Core wins the head. Kulusevski, it's bouncing around all over the place, and fortunately enough, the referee blows for offside. Let's take a look at the replay. It's thrown in, and it is both Kulusevski and Romero and he's Basuma on the right-hand side who are both off. And we get away with one there. Pedro Porro into Højbjerg. Spurs have started this second half far better off than we have. And now it's a ball into the path of Ben Yedder. What a save! That is exactly why Diogo Costa is having a fabulous season this year. Basuma into Ben Yedder. Ben Yedder has got acres of space to drive into here, but instead he cuts back for Yves Basuma. Lovely ball though into the path of Benson Corey. Skip round the challenge, and he releases Ben Yedder, who's in and makes it 2-0 Tottenham. Well, there can be no denying that they've just been the better team in this whole game, especially in the second half. And this time there is nothing that Diogo Costa could do to stop a Ben Yedder shot. They opened us up at will, and they've given themselves a 2-goal cushion. It's 2-0 here. Fafana to try and bring this one out of defence. We've got to see if we can do anything here to try and get ourselves at least back in this game somehow. Sunset though runs into trouble, and Spurs go again. We've just been so poor, and that has really been the story of all the big games so far this season. We've just been poor in all of them, and Kulusevski now drives into the box, looking to put the icing on the cake for Spurs. Lovely track back into Maddison. What a one-handed save from Costa. Kulusevski will take the corner, and it looks like someone, Madison perhaps, is going to offer a short option. Mudryk on as a substitute, tried to put a challenge in, wasn't strong enough. This time it is Nicholas Jackson, another substitute whose challenge is strong enough, and he can now try and go down this right-hand side. He hasn't got the beating of the Tottenham Hotspur defence, and ends up just running into trouble as no one was offering any sort of options, and that has pretty much been the story of this entire game for us. Into Badiashile. Sancho's come into the centre to try and get hold of the ball. Enzo Fernandez, I'm going to try and feed Gusto down the right-hand side. Picks it up well, fires it across, looking for someone at the back post. Found Sancho, who found absolutely nothing with his first touch. The referee blows for full time. The Spurs fans celebrate. And we have gone and thrown our title chances in the bin. The Spurs players celebrate because they know how important that victory was. As at full time here at Stamford Bridge, it finishes Chelsea 0, Spurs 2. Well, it was a really disappointing result and a really disappointing end to put what is more than likely going to be the final nail in our title fight challenge. The lads worked hard out there, but the problem was it was just that Spurs have excellent players, and we just didn't make the right decisions today in front of goal. Perhaps we lacked a little bit of self-belief. We worked hard for each other, but unfortunately we just didn't create enough chances to make a proper game of it. And with that win lifting Spurs 4 points now ahead of us in the Premier League, and Liverpool still being 5 points clear with a game in hand, it now looks like we are going to be looking more over the back of our shoulders to try and see if we can hold on to these Champions League places. And as luck would have it, it's the very team that are chasing us for the final Champions League spot in Manchester United who is the team that we are going to be welcoming up next at Stamford Bridge. It's another huge game, and it's another one that we cannot afford to lose. It is Chelsea, Manchester United, and it's up next. To Enzo Fernandez in the centre of the park. A lovely touch and turn to get away from two Manchester United midfielders. I'm going to try and cut this one back in. It was well intercepted by Martinez, as United played around rather dangerously inside their box there, but they just about managed to wriggle away from the challenge of Raheem Sterling. Correa for United. He was the man who completely tore me apart the last time I played United, and the last time I lost to them 4-1 at Old Trafford. We are definitely going to be hoping that we get a better result this time around. Rashford has come into the centre of the park, but given the ball away to Enzo Fernandez. He finds Nkunku, and Nkunku's going to try and release Reece James down this right-hand side. Reece James, powerful run, tries to float it back into the box. Well headed away by Dalot. Amrabat, a nice reverse pass round the corner into Correa, who's picked up a wonderful pass into Marcus Rashford. He drives down the left-hand side. Reece James comes across, United corner. And it's one that Anthony's going to take, and it looks like he's going to take it short. He does, into the path of that man Correa, the danger man, and the one that I really have to look out for here today is Bruno Fernandes lines up a shot, and Diogo Costa just gets a hand to it. Second corner of the game, and it's the second one that will go to Manchester United, and they will go short for a second time. Anthony being held up by Sterling, but not held up enough. Sterling, though, tussling, giving away a foul. And it's a free kick that Fernandes will take. He'll try and float this one into the box. It's a good head. Caicedo tries to get his head on it. Madueke headed away. Sterling doesn't get it far enough. Smashed at Disasi. And Diogo Costa with a huge save. Anthony for United plays it back to Dalot. Dalot into Eriksen. It's been all Manchester United so far. Anthony. Oh, Disasi almost gave away a penalty there. Correa has it. It's well saved. Reece James with a big head. And my word, if he didn't get his head on that one, we would have found ourselves 1-0 down. But now we release Raheem Sterling. And Sterling's going to release Nkunku, who has just about managed to stay on side. And Nkunku into the box. Finds Sterling. What a save. My goodness, this is end-to-end stuff here from two teams who are absolutely desperate, in need of a win here. Headed away. Out to Madueke. Back out to Sterling. Sterling cuts back in, looking for Madueke again. He will try and line up a shot with his right. Gets it wrong wide. Back into the path of Luke Shaw. Danced around the challenge of Raheem Sterling, and United still have it inside my half, but Enzo Fernandez with a brilliant challenge here, and he's looking for some sort of option, and it's a wonderful ball into the path of Nkunku. Nkunku, surely he does put us into the lead at Stamford Bridge. Cool, calm, composed, and exactly the type of finish I would expect from the Frenchman. A wonderful ball from Enzo Fernandez, showing his quality and showing why he's back in the starting 11, and a fabulous finish from Nkunku. Gave Onana no chance and gave us a much needed 1-0 lead here at Stamford Bridge. Enzo Fernandez into Nkunku. Reverse ball back into the path of Enzo Fernandez. We've cut United open here. Enzo Fernandez across. It was the wrong choice. The wrong choice of pass completely. And that is a huge opportunity for us that goes begging. Bruno Fernandes now for Manchester United. This is turning into a real end-to-end scrap here. Correa bursts into the box. Is he held up? He is by Fofana. Brilliant piece piece of defending, but then he goes and gives the ball away. And Chilwell into Caicedo. Caicedo turns into Madueke. He's going to look for the overlapping run. What a pass into Ben Chilwell. Absolutely fabulous. And Nkunku back into Chilwell. What a save from Onana. Another wonderful piece of build-up play. And another chance that goes begging. Disasi into Caicedo. Caicedo into Chilwell. Chilwell into Nkunku. Nkunku into Madueke. Madueke into the box to strike with his left. Gets it wrong. Into the feet of Bruno Fernandes. It's a wicked run from the Portuguese man to lay it off to Correa, but he ends up going backwards. The momentum of the attack was almost dead, but Correa has picked it back up again, fires it into the box. Big hit from Rashford wide. Disasi into Maatsen. We've got about 10 minutes remaining on the clock here to keep hold of this 1-0 victory, as it doesn't really look like we're anywhere close to adding a second. Anthony, though, picks it up for United. Correa now has it. They are in the ascendancy as they are desperate to try and get an equaliser, as Mudryk almost got it away from the defence, but United were quick to react, and Eriksen, the danger man, picks up the ball into Correa. Correa strikes from distance wide, and much to my players' delight, fortunately enough for us, that did end up being the last attack of the game. A massive game here at Stamford Bridge, and a massive result. Don't I just know it? I salute the crowd. I thank them for their support, but it is that man, Christopher Nkunku, who once again has come to our rescue with a fabulous goal to be the differentiator between the two teams, as at full time it finishes Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0. It's a huge victory, and one that not only does wonders for our club morale, but also for our position in the Premier League. United have dropped down to 5th, and we have asserted a 7-point lead against their Manchester rivals, Manchester City, and we look like we are in a commanding place to secure Champions League football for next season. And after beating Sheffield United 3-1 away from home and absolutely demolishing Everton 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, drawing 0-0 away from home against Brighton, with just 4 games remaining in the Premier League, we have built up an 8-point lead ahead of Manchester City in 4th place and a 10-point lead ahead of Manchester United in 5th, meaning that as we head on over to Villa Park to face off against Aston Villa, if we manage to get 3 points on the board today, we will secure Champions League football for next season and get Chelsea back to Europe's elite. It's going to be Matty Cash with the throw. He finds Dendoncker, who finds a pass back into Matty Cash. He's being chased down by Mudryk, who manages to get a start here ahead of both Jadon Sancho and Madueke, and he's done the right job there as he's defended well, and we get the ball clear. Reece James into Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez tried to play it back into Reece James, but got caught cold in possession and gave the ball away really cheaply. Now Villa can try and burst down this left-hand side with Jacob Ramsey. He tries to run past Reece James, can't. Finds Tammy Abraham, the former Chelsea man, now plying his trade presumably at Aston Villa. He now gives it away, and Enzo Fernandez gets in all sorts of trouble, bursts into our own player. Tammy Abraham has it again. Oh, how much he would love to score against his former employers, but instead Matty Cash has it straight at Costa. Aston Villa corner. And it's going to be Buendia who's going to take the corner here. They do have a short option, and it's one that they take advantage of. Ramsey now throws it into the box. What a head from Abraham, and what a save from the goalkeeper. I think he just got a touch on it and hit the crossbar, but Buendia has it again. He's held up, and this time it's a clumsy challenge from Badiashile, and it's another penalty that we've given away this season. Well, let's have a look at the replay. No, he can't have any complaints. A real clumsy challenge. I know, in fact, it was a clumsy challenge, and it's a silly penalty to give away. And Aston Villa now have a wonderful opportunity on the 25th minute to try and get themselves ahead. And of course it is going to be that man, Tammy Abraham, to step up and take the shot against his former employers, sticks his new employers, Aston Villa, into the lead here in Villa Park. It was a fabulous penalty. He gave Diogo Costa no chance. He went the right way, but there was just too much power on it. He looks to the skies. 1-0 Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins for Villa into Dendoncker. Villa are in the ascendancy. They're far better than we are so far in this game. Reece James, though, with a good interception, plays it down the line into Sterling, and now he has space to run into here, and Sterling has the pace to get away from the left back into the box, cuts it back. Wonderful stuff. Sunset blocked off by the defender. A fabulous interception. What a block. Otherwise, it would have certainly been back on level terms. Chilwell chasing down Matty Cash, but he's got the pace to get away from the Englishman, and now he continues his run down the right-hand side. Chilwell frantically trying to get back. He fires it into the box. Brilliant cross into Ramsey. Wide. Then Chilwell into Mudryk. Mudryk now gets hold of the ball. I'm going to try and look for the overlapping run of Ben Chilwell, and I do find it. Chilwell now plays it into Nkunku. He turns wonderfully, and Nkunku, what a save! How on earth he didn't bury that one in the top right-hand corner, I will never know. A fabulous save from Martinez, and now we have an opportunity to get them on the corner. And in the end, we get it all wrong as Fofana sends it high and wide. And as the second half begins, we have 45 minutes to try and get ourselves back into this game, because if we do, we will secure Champions League football, and it will take a huge weight off of my shoulders, as that will match the board expectations for this season. But so far, we are making a real big issue of it today as Mudryk again comes back. Good defensive play from the Ukrainian, and now he can try and release us as Ben Chilwell tries to go down the left-hand side. Doesn't have too many options. Instead, I'm just going to take it by himself. Goes all the way here, and he just continues. Floats it into the box. Look for Sterling with the overhead kick. Sends it wide. Sterling can't believe it. Alex Moreno skips away from the challenge of Enzo Fernandez, who's been pretty quiet today. He's desperately trying to get the ball back, though. Continues his press high, but Aston Villa have beaten that very press. And Jacob Ramsey has managed to get away from Reece James. Fofana's trying to track him. Can Fofana win the ball? He can, but gives away a corner in the process. 60 minutes in here, and out of the two teams, I've got to be honest, it looks like Aston Villa are the more likely to get a second rather than us scoring one. And it's a brilliant head from Tammy Abraham. Unfortunately enough, Diogo Costa was alert to it. Into Kamara. Nice pass into Abraham. Ollie Watkins now being chased down by Badiashile. Can't seem to get the ball off Aston Villa. Wonderful pass into Tammy Abraham. Abraham isn't held up enough. Diogo Costa with another big save. The ball is loose though. Ramsey strikes another one from Costa. Buendia will take the corner for Aston Villa. Fires it into the near post. It's headed away by the substitute Sancho. Not headed away far enough though. Carlos plays it into the path of Buendia, but it ends up running out of play for a Chelsea goal kick. Into Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins chased down by Badiashile. Again, we cannot seem to do enough to win the ball back. Tammy Abraham this time. It's his second goal of the game. It's Aston Villa's second, and he has put a knife right through the hearts of the Chelsea fans. Wonderful build-up play yet again, and yet again it is Tammy Abraham, this time with a fabulous finish. Low and hard, past Diogo Costa. And Aston Villa lead 2-0. Well, it's pretty much been the story of this season for us so far. We get one decent win, and then it completely falls apart in the very next game as Diaby makes an absolute mockery of my defence and of Diogo Costa. We've completely fallen asleep. Our heads have dropped. It's 3-0. Well, they absolutely carved through us like a knife through butter. What on earth was Gusto doing? I do not know. And it's just a pass into the back of the net. Surely Diogo Costa should be doing better there. I mean, it's a terrible piece of goalkeeping from the goalkeeper who's been sensational all season. I'm disgusted. It's 3-0 Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins into Tammy Abraham. Things have completely fallen apart here. Tammy Abraham goes past two of my defenders. This time Costa to the rescue. What on earth is going on here? Madueke on as a substitute, picks up the ball and loses it just as quickly. And Diaby now, speaking of quickly, absolutely terrorises Fofana. And look at that, he's strutting his stuff, Moreno. Aston Villa just not even taking this seriously anymore. It's going to be Tielemans who's going to take the corner. Aston Villa looking for a fourth. It's thrown in to the back post. Caicedo heads it away. Another Villa corner. Diaby this time will take it. They're not even offering short this time. They throw it back in. Sancho heads it away. Only out as far as Madueke. Again, it's another Villa corner. Well, this is just depressing here in stoppage time. Villa have just got us hemmed inside our own box. Headed away from Matson. Tielemans picks it back up into Diaby. He's just going to take it to the corner flag. Matson manages to win the ball back from him. Referee, blow the whistle. He does. And he puts us out of our misery. Well, when the pressure was on, we completely fell apart. An abysmal performance from the Chelsea players. That man, Tammy Abraham, absolutely delighted with his performance. 2 goals and showed why it was the wrong decision for Chelsea to sell him in the first place. Full time here at Villa Park, it finishes Villa 3, Chelsea 0. Fortunately enough though, after following up the Aston Villa game with another couple of disappointing results, including a 2-2 draw against West Ham and a 1-0 loss against Nottingham Forest, we do eventually manage to get back in the win column with a 2-1 win against Bournemouth, meaning that we finish up in 3rd place in the Premier League. We qualify for the Champions League next season, and we leave the board very happy, having accomplished one of their key objectives. It's no surprise to see Christopher Nkunku rounding off the season being our top goal scorer with 21 goals in 35 appearances, 20 of those coming in the Premier League. And Oyhan Sanset had a fabulous second half of the season racking up 11 goals and 5 assists in a fabulous debut campaign in a Chelsea shirt. Nicholas Jackson will be happy with his overall performances, as despite not really featuring too often for my starting 11, he did manage to pick up 8 goals in the end. And Jadon Sancho, actually, in spite of all the criticism that I gave him all season, it seems like the return of Madueke to full fitness really seemed to light a fire under him, as he managed to achieve 7 goals and 9 assists, being my most productive winger this season. However, with there still being several areas of the squad that are in need of improvement, and with the hope that with Champions League football next season the board will deliver a Champions League size transfer budget, I think things are going to get quite interesting heading into Season 2. But that is it for the end of the episode today. Thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.